Thank you.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Dear colleagues, it is now time for us to consider nominations of properties to the World Heritage List. I would like to recall that the relevant working document concerning nominations are 8B, 8B.CORR, and 8B.ADD. The advisory body evaluations can be found in the information document, ECOMOS, INF.8B1 and INF.8B1 ADD. Let me also recall that document INF 8B3 presents the list of all nominations received by February 1st, 2022 and February 1st, 2023, including those for examination by the World Heritage Committee at its extended 45th session and foreseen for examination in 2023, and those foreseen for examination at its 46th session in 2024, with the indication of these deemed completed. Document INF 8B4 and INF 8B4 ADD present factual errors identified by state parties in the advisory body evaluation. I now invite the Secretariat to present these documents and read out the list of the nominations of which factual errors notifications have been received and to add it some explanations. Mr. Balsamo, you may have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. Document 45com/inf.8b4 and 45.com/inf8b4.add concern the text of the evaluation and present factual errors notification by state parties and the related advisory bodies' replies. The main document was dispatched on 31st of July, while the INF 8B4 ad was distributed to you on Tuesday, 12 September. I will now read out the list of nominations for which factual errors notification concerning the related evaluation have been received. For the 2022 cycle, Iran Iranian forests, Azerbaijan-Iran Iranian forests, Congo Forest Massif of Zala Kokwa, Vietnam Halong Bay Katba, Cambodia Kokher Archaeological Site of Ancient Lingapura or Chok Garyar, Canada Trondheim Klondike, Denmark Viking Age ring fortresses, Ethiopia the Gedio cultural landscapes, Germany, Jewish medieval heritage of Erfurt, Guatemala, National Archaeological Park Tak Ali Bay, Iran, the Persian Caravanserai, Lithuania, Modernist Kaunas and Architecture of Optimism 1919-1913, Republic of Korea, Gaya Tumoli, Spain, Talaiotic Menorca, a Cyclopean Island Odyssey, and Turkey, Gordion. Then for the 2023 cycle, we have received notification from Canada, Anticosti, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, cold winter desert of Turan, Rwanda, Ngue National Park, Saudi Arabia, Horuk Bani Marid, Azerbaijan, cultural landscape of Kinalig people and Yolu, Transhumance route, France, the Maison Carrée of Nîmes, India, sacred ensembles of Oyasalas, Indonesia, the cosmological axis of Yogyakarta and its historic landmarks, Iran, cultural landscape of Mosul, Palestine, ancient Jericho Tel El Sultan, in Portugal, historic center of Guimarães and Coros Zone, Russian Federation, astronomical observatories of Kazan Federal University, Suriname, Yodesavan archaeological site, Yodesavan settlement and Kasipora Creek Cemetery, Thailand, the ancient town of Sitep, and Turkey, medieval mosque of Anatolia with wooden posts and upper structure. Then we have 4 additional notifications that are included in document INF 8B4 Italy, evaporitic karst and caves of northern Apennine, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, cold winter deserts of Turan, Argentina has a museum and site of memory, former clandestine center of detention, torture, and extermination. And Rwanda, memorial sites of genocides, Nyamata, Murambi, Gizosi, and Bisesero. Before the presentation of the concerned nomination by the advisory bodies, the Secretariat will announce the related factual error notification received. And if the notification of factual errors has an impact on the proposed statement of OUV, the consequent amendment is already included in the text of the related draft decision. Just to recall that only notification received by the statutory deadline and submitted in the appropriate form of Annex 12 of the operational guidelines have been made available in these documents. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alessandro. I would like to see if there are any comments on this. I see none. So our next point deals with the nomination that were scheduled to be examined by the committee at this session, but were withdrawn at the request of the concerned state party. I also invite Mr. Bassamo to read out the list of the withdrawn nominations. You may have the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson. 5 nominations have been withdrawn prior to this session at the request of the concerned state parties, and these are Cameroon, the Sukur and GGB cultural landscape of Mandara Mountains, Germany, alpine and pre-alpine meadows, pasture and wetlands in the Ammergau, the Lake Staffelsee area, and the Wederfelser Land. Italy, a cultural landscape of Civita di Bagnoregio, Morocco, area of the Jagal Dragon Tree, and Portugal, Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation Head Office and Garden. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Is there any question on this? So I see none. And then we will now begin the examination of nominations. I would like to take this opportunity to recall the committee decisions that are based on objective and scientific considerations. And any appraisals made on its behalf must be thoroughly and responsibly carried out. The committee recognizes that such decisions depend upon carefully prepared documentation, thorough and consistent procedures, evaluation by qualified experts, and, if necessary, the use of expert referees. The committee is requested to examine the draft decision presented in the relevant document and in accordance with the paragraph 153 of the operational guidelines take its decisions. I wish to stress that for referred nomination, there is no new nomination filed to be prepared and there is no evaluation missions of the relevant advisory body to this site. Also, as recalled by the committee in its decision, 42-Com-8, in compliance with the Convention and operational guidelines, outstanding universal values is recognized at the time of inscription of a property on the World Heritage List, and no recognition of outstanding universal value is foreseen prior to this stage. I would like to appeal to you all to strictly respect these important rules during our debate and our decision-making. As you know, considering the latest withdrawals, currently we have 50 nominations to be examined between today and Wednesday, as well as 22 minor boundary modifications proposals. For this reason, I would like to suggest that the examination of nominations that are recommended for inscription and do not present any particular potential issue be dealt with in a way to avoid repetitions of interventions aimed only at congratulating the concerned party. To this extent, I will ask for the cooperation of all committee members and observers alike, as it would be preferable to apply this standard as from the beginning of the examination of all nominations. We will now proceed with the examination of nominations. We will begin with the nominations that were foreseen for examination in 2022, and then proceed with the nominations foreseen for examinations in 2023. The order of the examination nominations is listed on page 5 of both the English and French version of the document 8B and on page 1 on the Corridom documents. I would kindly ask you to follow this order to the extent possible. However, the Bureau already endorsed requests to reschedule the examination of a few nominations to allow participants of a high-level delegations. Thus, following several requests concerning the order of examination of nominations, I would like to inform you that the World Heritage Center has put online a provisional timetable day by day, including requests already endorsed by the Bureau. This timetable is to be found on the webpage of the extended 45th session. For some of the nominations of cultural sites recommended for inscription, the presentation by ICOMOS will be delivered through pre-recorded videos. Furthermore, I would like to recall that after having finished the examination of nominations, we will deal with 22 minor boundary modifications. And for better time management, for those that are recommended for approval, we will go straight to the related decision without presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, just before proceeding with the examination of nominations, the advisory body wished to make a brief presentation on their respective evaluation process of nomination. I give the floor to IUCN and ICOMOS. You may have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. May I ask for the slides, please? Thank you, Chair. We'll just move to the first slide. Next slide, please. So, Mr. Chair, in speaking of IUCN's evaluation process, please allow me first to acknowledge the contribution of Dr. Jim Thorsell, who sat in this chair and served this convention as the IUCN Head of World Heritage for 20 years, and who sadly passed away last month. Jim was a pioneer in introducing systematic conservation approaches to World Heritage conservation, was dedicated to ensuring the integrity of natural World Heritage sites, and his legacy includes framing our evaluation process, as well as the many sites that were listed in the early days of this convention. Next slide, please. So, Mr. Chair, the IUCN evaluation process is outlined in the slide shown on the screen. This is the slide from the operational guidelines. We'd like to thank all the states parties for advancing conservation through the preparation of nominations under natural criteria in both the 2022 and 2023 cycles, and both of these cycles have still been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, that means the 2022 cycle is being presented here with a delay of 1 year since the evaluation process concluded. We appreciate greatly the close collaboration with all states parties and local authorities in navigating the evaluation mission so effectively in sometimes challenging circumstances. IUCN's role is to deliver independent, high-quality scientific and technical advice to you, the World Heritage Committee, and to follow the standards set out in the operational guidelines and respect the relevant deadlines. The IUCN World Heritage Panel, which frames the recommendations that you are receiving from us through this session of the committee, reaches its recommendations on a wide range of inputs, with the nomination files, the dialogue with states parties, and the supplementary information that is provided by the nominating states parties being central and indispensable, complemented in the evaluation with both independent desk reviews and the on-site evaluation missions that are crucial to understand what is happening on the ground. Mr. Chair, we strive for the widest possible diversity in inputs and to improve this further in terms of regions, languages, scientific disciplines, and the professional backgrounds of IUCN's World Heritage Panel members, as well as our evaluators and our expert reviewers. And this includes the key inputs of our expert commissions, our partnership with UNEP's World Conservation Monitoring Centre on comparative analysis, and the contribution of the International Union for Geological Sciences, the International Association of Geomorphologists, and the International Speleological Union on Geoheritage Matters. So, Mr. Chair, I just close by thanking all of these contributors, and especially to recognise the large part of this work that is delivered by volunteers who are so committed to supporting the World Heritage Convention and without whom this work would not be possible. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Ecomos, you may have the floor.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Donc, je souhaite commencer cette présentation en soulignant le caractère particulier de cette session qui nous amène à présenter 2 cycles d'évaluation de propositions d'inscription en même temps. Diapo suivante, s'il vous plaît. L'ICOMOS exprime sa gratitude à l'ensemble des experts impliqués dans le processus d'évaluation, ainsi qu'aux États parties ayant soumis une proposition d'inscription pour les efforts fournis pendant cette période difficile qu'a constituée la pandémie de Covid-19. La procédure d'évaluation de l'ICOMOS est décrite à l'annexe 6 des orientations. Différentes étapes la composent, comme les études de documents, la mission technique d'évaluation et les réunions du panel d'experts, ainsi que certains moments d'échange avec les États parties. L'ICOMOS est sensible à la représentation géographique des experts impliqués dans le processus d'évaluation et a récemment modifié les règles de composition de son panel d'experts pour mieux répondre aux problèmes du déséquilibre géographique des propositions d'inscription. L'ICOMOS est rigoureux et scientifique et tente d'être constructif dans la formulation de ses recommandations au Comité du patrimoine mondial afin d'œuvrer pour la conservation des biens. Diapo suivante. Diapositive, merci. L'ICOMOS implique une quarantaine d'experts dans l'évaluation d'un dossier de proposition d'inscription, couvrant différents aspects du bien, que ce soit de l'analyse de son importance dans le contexte géoculturel dans lequel il se place, à la façon dont il est protégé et géré. Les recommandations de l'ICOMOS sont collégiales et institutionnelles. Le champ d'expertise de l'ICOMOS comprend la multidisciplinarité, la diversité culturelle et géographique, un large éventail de formations et d'expériences et une large représentation institutionnelle. Pour conclure, Monsieur le Président, je voudrais remercier tous les experts qui sont impliqués dans ce processus d'évaluation et qui contribuent avec enthousiasme et énergie à constituer les recommandations que l'ICOMOS apporte sur l'ensemble des dossiers de proposition d'inscription. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Thank to IUCN and ICOMOS and all involved parties in the evaluation process. So I'd like to hear if any one of the committee members would like to have any intervention or comment on this. So I see none. And therefore, we will now start the examination of nominations proposed by the examination in 2022. We will start with natural sites and continue with cultural sites. I'm going to call on ICMOS and IUCN to be coincide in their presentation. Thank you in advance for your cooperation. Also, I would like to mention to our dear colleagues from the NGOs that I would like to call upon all NGOs present in the room to combine their intervention into one joint statement whenever several of them wish to take the floor on one particular site, and to inform in advance the Secretariat about who will take the floor and on which site. Thank you very much for understanding, and also for the state parties. I would also like to recall all state parties that once the state party is concerned by inscriptions on the World Heritage List have made their 2-minute statements, they are invited to leave the plenary meeting room and proceed to the celebration room. This is available next to the Bureau meeting room on the left side. This is prevent disturbing the work of the committee, as we have a very heavy agenda under item 8B. I really thank you in advance for your collaboration and cooperation in this matter. I now invite IUCN to present the nomination Forest Massif of Ozala Kawaka, Congo. But before I give the floor to the Secretariat, Master Balsamo, please.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Concerning the evaluation of the nomination for the Forest Massif of Ozala Kokwa, we received a factual error notification, which is on page 12 of both the English and French version of document INF 8B4. Thank you.
Thank you. IUCN, you may have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. L'évaluation de l'IUCN se trouve aux pages indiquées sur la diapositive. Next slide, please. L'inscription du parc national d'Ozala et 2 zones adjacentes a été précédemment proposée en 1994 sous le critère 10. À l'époque, le parc ne comptait que 284 000 hectares et a été différé par le comité lors de sa 19e session à Berlin en Allemagne du fait de préoccupations liées à son intégrité. Par la suite, le bien a été agrandi et actuellement proposé sur les critères 9 et 10 en tant que massif forestier d'Ozala Kokwa. Le bien proposé couvre une superficie de plus de 1,1 million d'hectares, entourée d'une superficie de 4,2 millions d'hectares. Next slide, please. Concernant le critère 9, le bien proposé représente une riche diversité d'écosystèmes, notamment une vaste mosaïque forêt-savane. Il représente un excellent exemple à une échelle exceptionnellement vaste du processus de reconquête post-glaciaire de la forêt sur les écosystèmes de savane. Le site est écologiquement important en tant que point de convergence de types d'écosystèmes multiples, des forêts congolaises, des forêts basses guinéennes et des savanes. Il comprend de vastes étendues de forêts très diverses et rares, ainsi que des forêts intermédiaires plus sèches. Next slide, please. Concernant le critère 10, le bien proposé est considéré comme étant parmi les aires protégées les plus importantes au monde pour la conservation des mammifères, des oiseaux et des amphibiens. Ainsi, le bien proposé protège un assemblage pratiquement complet d'espèces, ce qui est de plus en plus rare et dont il y a un grand nombre d'espèces menacées sur le plan mondial. Avec 17 espèces, le parc présente la plus riche diversité en primates en Afrique centrale. Outre les gorilles, les chimpanzés, les éléphants, la faune est constituée également de pangolins, de perroquets jacaux, des crocodiles nains, qui sont des espèces menacées sur le plan mondial. On y trouve également de nombreuses espèces de plantes et d'animaux rares et ou endémiques. En conclusion, Monsieur le Président, le site est exceptionnellement important pour ces processus écologiques de recolonisation forestière représentant un conflit important entre un large éventail de types d'écosystèmes et abritant un assemblage pratiquement complet d'espèces. L'UICN considère que le bien proposé démontre une importante sur le plan mondial selon les critères 9 et 10 relatifs au processus écologique et à la biodiversité. Next slide, please. Cependant, tout en reconnaissant l'importance mondiale des valeurs proposées, le panel de l'UICN a soulevé quelques préoccupations concernant l'intégrité, la protection, la gestion et les limites du bien proposé. En effet, tandis que le bien proposé est intégré dans un parc national, l'information complémentaire fournie par l'État partie a confirmé la présence de concessions minières dans la zone tampon du bien proposé. L'UICN note que la présence de concessions minières dans la zone tampon du bien est très préoccupante pour son intégrité. Next slide, please. Le projet de décision se trouve dans le document 8B, comme indiqué sur la diapositive, et contient la recommandation de l'UICN de différer l'inscription du massif forestier d'Odzala-Kokowa, tout en notant le potentiel important de ce bien proposé à satisfaire les critères 9 et 10. Cependant, l'UICN tient à noter que cette recommandation a été achevée selon les délais du cycle d'évaluation 2021-2022 et sur la base de toute information reçue jusqu'au 28 février 2022. Par conséquent, Monsieur le Président, l'UICN prend note de l'information supplémentaire dans la lettre d'erreur factuelle soumise par l'État partie qui présente du progrès par rapport aux préoccupations évoquées par l'UICN. À la suite de cette lettre, l'UICN est heureux de constater, d'une part, la confirmation de l'adoption du nouveau plan de gestion et d'autre part, la suppression des permis d'exploitation au niveau du bien. L'UICN prend note du fait que l'État partie confirme son intention de révoquer également les permis restant dans la zone tampon du bien proposé. L'UICN recommande à l'État partie d'achever la révocation complète de ces permis avant que le comité du patrimoine mondial n'examine la proposition d'inscription. J'en ai fini, Monsieur le Président. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to know if anyone from the floor would like to intervene on this matter. Japan.
Thank you, Chairperson. First of all, Japan would like to express our position that the committee has to be very cautious about the change of draft decision from deferral to inscribe. And we would like to emphasize that there should be strong evidence to change the draft decision. From this point of view, we would like to pose 3 questions to State Party and Advisory Body. 2 questions, first 2 questions are to the State Party. One is regarding 2 mining permits remaining in the buffer zone. The State Party's intention to revoke those permits is shown in the factual error letters, and we would like to have a confirmation from the State Party on this matter, and we would like to know the timeline of this. Our second question is from the information in the factual error letter, we understand the management plan is revised and adopted. We would like to have elaboration a little more on the contents of this management plan, especially regarding the control measures of Kuzu plant. And the third question is to advisory body. We understand this site has a very important values, but have some management problems. So inscription on the World Heritage List may facilitate the protection and conservation of the site, but sometimes it could cause more challenges. So we would like to hear IUCN's view on the implication if we inscribe this site now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mali?
Désolé, Monsieur le Président, un peu plus tard. Merci.
So now I would like to pass the floor to the State Party to respond to the two questions addressed by the delegation of Japan.
Merci infiniment, Monsieur le Président, pour la parole que vous nous accordez. Nous allons donc répondre aux préoccupations de l'État partie du Japon. Nous remercions le Japon pour ses préoccupations. Nous voulons rassurer ici le comité des membres du patrimoine mondial que les permis d'exploitation minière qui étaient dans la zone tampon du parc national d'Ozala-Okokoa étaient réellement revoqués. Il s'agissait de 7 permis. Il y en a 5 qui sont revoqués complètement et en attente de révocation, nous avons 2 qui ne sont pas en activité. D'où l'assurance du gouvernement de la République du Congo, ici devant le comité, qu'il n'y a pas d'inquiétude s'agissant des permis d'exploitation minière. Je répète, 5 étaient révoqués, 2 en attente de révocation, mais qui ne sont pas en activité. Pour ce qui est du plan de gestion revisé, effectivement, dans le cadre du plan d'aménagement du parc national d'Ozala-Kokoa, il est question de faire attention à cette espèce invasive et nous tenons à vous rassurer, chers membres, que le Congo prend acte de cette préoccupation et nous faisons attention à cette culture invasive qui est arrivée dans notre pays, certainement par la mobilité ou par des bateaux. Donc, nous faisons attention à cette mobilité, mais je peux vous rassurer que cette plante invasive n'est pas en accroissement sur l'écosystème du parc national d'Ozala-Kokoa. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. I would like to pass the floor to the advisory bodies to respond to the delegation of Japan.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Bien évidemment, l'inscription de ce site sur la liste du patrimoine mondial va appeler à nos nouveaux défis, mais à ce stade, il est important de noter qu'en Afrique centrale, quand même, il y a de belles initiatives de conservation de toutes les aires protégées qui sont dans le bassin du Congo, notamment ce site. Et il est important de rappeler ici qu'il y a un événement important qui va se passer au mois d'octobre au Congo-Brazza, comme par hasard, qui est le sommet des 3 bassins. Et bien avant ce sommet, il y a une rencontre qui va regrouper des partenaires financiers et techniques. Je pense que ces initiatives, déjà, nous rassurent pour la suite. Bien évidemment, il y a des efforts énormes à faire en termes d'efficacité de gestion et de mobilisation de ressources, mais nous pensons que l'État partie, vu son engagement au plus haut niveau, pourrait en tout cas relever ce nouveau défi. Merci.
Thank you very much. South Africa, you still want to have the floor?
We'll have the floor after Rwanda. Thank you.
Thank you. Rwanda, you have the floor.
Monsieur le Président, Excellences, chers collègues, étant donné que c'est la première fois que je prends la parole, je remercie le Royaume de l'Arabie Saoudite pour l'accueil exceptionnel et vous remercie, Monsieur le Président, pour la manière dont vous menez les débats et vous souhaite plein succès. Monsieur le Président, en début de session, nous avons eu un débat intéressant sur l'importance d'atteindre les objectifs de conservation de la biodiversité tout en répondant aux besoins de développement socio-économique des populations locales. Le parc national d'Ozala-Kokwa, proposé à l'inscription par l'État partie du Congo, est un exemple parfait de la façon dont un pays fait le choix de donner la priorité à la conservation sur le développement économique. Le parc national proposé à l'inscription est d'une importance capitale pour la conservation de la biodiversité du bassin du Congo. Il dispose d'une diversité biologique exceptionnelle qui a valu son inscription sur la liste indicative du patrimoine mondial de l'UNESCO en 2008. Faisant suite aux décisions relevées dans le rapport par l'organe d'évaluation sur le massif forestier d'Ozala-Kokwa, il est impérieux de relever que ce site remplit bel et bien les critères fondamentaux pour lesquels il fait l'objet d'inscription, à savoir les critères 9 et 10. Ce rapport révèle véritablement trois problématiques. S'agissant de la présence d'une concession minière à l'intérieur du bien proposé, elle est consécutive à une erreur de cartographie. Les permis miniers se trouvaient dans la zone tampon du bien et aucun d'entre eux n'est en activité à ce jour, du fait de l'expiration pour certains et l'annulation pour d'autres. Ainsi, des 7 permis miniers représentés, relevés par les recommandations de l'organe d'évaluation, 5 sont inactifs par annulation et par expiration, et 2 sont valables, mais les sociétés attributaires ne sont pas présentes sur le terrain. À cet effet, des engagements ont été pris par l'État partie en vue d'entériner l'annulation de ces 2 permis suite à une réunion bipartite tenue le 23 juillet 2023 entre les experts des ministères de l'économie forestière et ceux des mines. Deuxièmement, au regard de la pertinence d'étendre la zone tampon du bien, le gouvernement du Congo s'est engagé à examiner la possibilité de le faire dans cette partie une fois le processus d'attribution de la concession sera finalisé. Enfin, s'agissant de la consultation avec les communautés locales dans le nouveau plan de gestion, il importe de dire que le parc national d'Ozala-Kokwa vient d'être doté d'un nouveau plan d'aménagement d'une validité de 10 ans, approuvé en Conseil des ministres du 26 décembre 2022, portant approbation du bien d'aménagement du parc. Monsieur le Président, j'aimerais également vous demander de pouvoir donner la parole à l'État partie et ainsi lui donner la possibilité de répondre à d'autres interrogations en temps voulu. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Thank you very much. Zambia.
Thank you very much, Chair, and the rest of the delegates. From the Zambian State Party point of view, I would like to observe that, IUCN was able to establish the fact that, this property has rich biodiversity, and it meets criteria 9, and that is 10. In addition, Chair, we also take note as a state party that, the permits, as already observed, rather stated by the state party, 5 permits have been cancelled, and 2 are already in the process of being cancelled, meaning that this is a demonstration by the state party to making sure that, the property is well managed. At the same time, Mr. Chairman, we take note of the fact that, in terms of geographical representation, Africa suffers a lot in that area, and where you have a situation where you have a site which meets part of the criteria, there is need for the committee to look at that. Then the next aspect, Mr. Chair, the issues of sustainable development. you notice that there are issues which are critical to the critical matter to most of the African state parties. And this being the case, you find that we risk not having most of our sites nominated as World Heritage Sites, simply because these sites, this label or the UNESCO label is being seen as a deterrent factor to that is national development. So we need to be a bit careful even as we look at this whole matter from the conventional point of view. I submit, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. South Africa, you can have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. As the State Party of South Africa, we note with appreciation the confirmation by the evaluators of this nomination that the property meets the criteria and integrity requirements for inscription. The sheer diversity of plant and animal life found within the boundaries of the nominated property is awe-inspiring. The nominated property houses numerous rare and endemic species that are found nowhere else but on the property, and therefore this is a botanical treasure trove. The property is a critical conservation area which intersects with important bird and biodiversity sites which are not yet represented on the World Heritage List. It also overlaps with 3 highly valuable protected areas for mammal, bird, and amphibian conservation, and thus establishing itself as a globally irreplaceable region. On the protection status of the nominated property, we appreciate the confirmation by the State Party that no operating mining permits overlap with the nominated property, and that arrangements have been made for the cancellation of existing mining permits in the buffer zone. Furthermore, a 10-year management plan for the property was approved by Council of Ministers in 2022, which addresses the issues raised in this draft decision with clearly defined indicators and monitoring parameters. The State Party should be commended for its effort in addressing and clarifying all the issues raised in the evaluation mission report. In respect of the buffer zone for the nominated property, the recommendation as it is stands, the State Party should increase the area of the buffer zone to the greatest extent possible. It's also a cause for concern because the buffer zone is already 4.2 million hectares. South Africa is of the view that the buffer zone should provide effective protection of the nominated property as suggested in paragraph 104 to 105 of the operational guidelines. South Africa would like to emphasize that what is important is not the size of the buffer zone, but its effectiveness as serving as an additional protection of the property. We do note, however, the confirmation by the State Party of the Republic of Congo that all forests within the buffer zone of the nominated property are being actively managed, and there are actions being undertaken to certify them. To this end, we are of the view that the criteria, conditions of integrity, as well as protection and management requirements for inscriptions have been met, and we would like to align ourselves with the State Party of Rwanda in support of inscription of this property. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Belgium.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Chers collègues, la Belgique constate que le bien proposé pour inscription semble clairement démontrer la VUE sur la base des critères 9 et 10. Il apparaît que le site n'est plus habité depuis 50 ans et qui n'a connu aucune exploitation. Son degré d'intégrité est donc très élevé. La taille du site, 1,17 million d'hectares, une zone tampon de 4,5 millions d'hectares, est suffisante pour garantir la conservation de la valeur universelle exceptionnelle. Nous nous réjouissons des efforts considérables réalisés par l'État partie, avec le soutien du Centre du patrimoine mondial, pour trouver une solution adéquate aux préoccupations restantes. Tenant compte de la réponse de l'État partie ainsi que de l'IUCN, nous ne pouvons que féliciter la République du Congo pour sa décision de supprimer les concessions minières inexploitées dans le bien, ainsi que pour l'accord obtenu au niveau gouvernemental pour mettre fin aux 2 permis d'exploitation minière restants dans la zone tampon. La Belgique soutient donc l'amendement introduit par la délégation de Rwanda en vue de l'inscription du massif forestier d'Odzala-Kwakwa sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Une inscription d'autant plus positive qu'elle vient renforcer la priorité Afrique de l'UNESCO, à laquelle notre pays apporte tout son soutien. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Mali.
Monsieur le Président, le massif forestier d'Odzala-Kwakwa est un parc vital pour les migrations de diverses espèces animales à protéger, dont les éléphants de forêt. Il s'agit d'un précaré d'une biodiversité exceptionnelle qui concentre des bastions des plus importants du gorille de l'ouest et du chimpanzé pan en Afrique centrale. Le parc possède la plus riche diversité en primates d'Afrique centrale, 17 espèces au total, et protège un assemblage pratiquement complet d'espèces, ce qui est de plus en plus rare dans une région très touchée par le braconnage et le commerce illégal d'espèces sauvages. En outre, le degré d'intégrité du bien proposé est très élevé parce qu'il est inhabité depuis 50 ans et n'a jamais fait l'objet d'une exploitation du bois. Cela est démontré et approuvé par l'UICN. Pour ce qui est du plan de gestion, bien qu'il existe des insuffisances, l'État du Congo a conçu un nouveau plan d'aménagement qui pourrait d'ailleurs être détaillé par son représentant ici présent. Pour toutes ces raisons, l'amendement proposé par le Rwanda mérite un examen favorable de la part du comité. En tout état de cause, le Mali appuie cette proposition d'amendement en faveur de l'inscription du bien. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Sultan to Oman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Listening at the advisory body as well as the state party, in addition to South Africa and Mali now, with all the support evidence that this site can meet the OEV, and it is important that to inscribe it, given that we are looking for the priority of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Egypt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Egypt extends its heartfelt congratulations to the Republic of Congo for diligently submitting this nomination file. And we express our sincere gratitude to the IOCN for the evaluation. The nominated property holds a special place within the high biodiversity wilderness of the Congo forests in Central Africa. Its outstanding qualities are readily apparent and perfectly aligned with the two key criteria, namely criteria 9 and 10. Furthermore, Egypt wholeheartedly acknowledges the Republic of Congo's tireless dedication to safeguarding and managing this precious site, setting a commendable example for conservation efforts worldwide. We firmly believe that the inclusion of Odzala-Kwakwa on the World Heritage List will not only enrich this esteemed registry, but also contribute significantly to balancing the global representation of heritage sites. Furthermore, elevating the prominence of African sites. The inscription would underscore the collective commitment to preserving the world's diverse and exceptional heritage for future generations to cherish and learn from. From this perspective, Egypt fully supports the amendment presented by Rwanda for the draft decisions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I'm sorry to take the floor for the second time. But after hearing the discussions on this particular property, and also we appreciate the commitment by the state party regarding this the revoking of mining permits, and also the strong commitment to the conservation of this particular property. And we also appreciate the interventions from IUCN. IUCN does recognize the value of this particular property. And also, IUCN made a reference to a very important conference which is coming in this October, which could provide investment opportunities for the conservation of the property. And also, we take note of the emerging consensus on this property, and therefore, we support the amendments proposed by Rwanda. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. So I would like to pass the floor to the State Party to respond to South Africa and Rwanda's inquiries.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, pour la parole que vous nous accordez une fois de plus. Je voudrais juste vous dire que nous sommes heureux et honorés par cet appui que nous avons des partis qui sont conscients de cette richesse, de ce patrimoine mondial que nous voulons pour l'humanité tout entière. Nous sommes heureux de voir combien les États reconnaissent les forces et l'effort fait par la République du Congo en maintenant ce site qui est un site important du bassin du Congo, qui est le deuxième poumon écologique après l'Amazonie. Nous vous remercions tous pour votre appui et nous pensons que, Monsieur le Président, que ce que nous allons prendre comme décision aujourd'hui est une décision importante, non seulement pour le Congo, mais pour l'humanité tout entière. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. I think we don't have any more interventions from the floor. So I invite you, dear colleagues, to adopt the draft decision 45-COM 8B1. But before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendment on the draft decision proposal. Qatar.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. دولة قطر تود أن تضيف اسمها من الدول الداعمة لمشروع القرار وشكرا.
شكرا جزيلا. Rapporteur, you may have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one amendment from the distinguished delegation of Rwanda, which is now supported from the floor by the distinguished delegations of South Africa, Belgium, Mali, Oman, Egypt, Japan, and Qatar. The amendment starts with the para 3. The revised para 3 inscribes the forest massif of Ozala-Kokua, Congo, on the World Heritage List on the basis of criteria 9 and 10. Revised para 4 takes note of the provisional statement of outstanding universal value. We received this statement in French only, and I would also like to explain that this is a standard phrase we use when the committee decides to move the decision from defer to inscribe. We use provisional statement of outstanding universal value, as it has to be reviewed by the advisory bodies and confirmed by the state parties, so it's adopted later. Revised para 5 recommends that the state party give consideration to the following. Point A, finalize the full cancellation of the last 2 non-operational licenses that partially overlap with the buffer zone of the property. Point B, increase the area of the buffer zone that would not be possible subject to logging regimes to the greatest extent possible in order to reduce any edge effects on the natural systems inside the property and ensure that all concessions in the buffer zone of the property work towards obtaining FSC certification, and that they will be strictly controlled and managed without any significant impacts on the outstanding universal value of the property. Point C is deleted. End of the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nigeria.
Nigeria, after listening to the argument put forward, would like to support the proposal put forward by Rwanda, and we want our name to be added. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. المملكة العربية السعودية.
السلام عليكم. المملكة العربية السعودية تود أن تدعم الأمندمنتس المقدمة من رواندا وأن تضاف اسمها إلى الدول الداعمة. شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا. إثيوبيا.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. L'Éthiopie également souhaite s'ajouter à la liste des pays et soutenir l'amendement présenté par le Rwanda. Merci.
شكرا جزيلا. الهند.
Thank you, Excellency. Any nomination that receives a deferral recommendation, if there are amendments to its inscription, it requires serious debate and discussion, which we have heard, and we have seen that multiple member states have taken a call to inscribe it. We need more nominations from Africa to come onto the World Heritage List. Taking the arguments and the explanations that were given and taking into consideration that we want to see, that India wants to see more African nominations on the World Heritage List, my country wants to join Rwanda, South Africa, Belgium, Mali, Oman, Egypt, Japan, Qatar, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, and Ethiopia in supporting this amendment. Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you, Your Excellency. St. Vincent and Grenadines.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines would like to join Rwanda, South Africa, Belgium, Mali, Oman, Egypt, Japan, Qatar, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, and India in supporting this amendment.
Thank you very much. Zambia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Zambia is wondering as to why we are not appearing even when we supported already. So in short, we would like to re-emphasize that we should appear there. If possible, since we spoke earlier, we should have appeared first earlier than the rest. Thank you.
Thank you. Well noted. Thailand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We recognize the efforts of the state party, so we also would like to support the amendment put forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mexico. Mexico, you have the floor.
Gracias, presidente. Quisiéramos unirnos al grupo de países que apoyan la enmienda y también solicitar a los órganos consultivos la posibilidad de a lo mejor incluir que se solicite un informe de estado de conservación en algún momento del próximo año. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Argentina.
Muchísimas gracias. Queremos también sumarnos a la propuesta.
Thank you very much. Japan.
Thank you, Chairperson. We believe that inscribing the site on the list is a responsibility of this committee, and we would like to have some kind of follow-up to see our decision was correct or not. So I think the previous Mexico, same as the proposal of Mexico, we would like to propose the additional paragraph requesting the state party to submit the report in 2025 at the end of the decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Greece.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our delegation would like also to support the amendment of this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Italy.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we would like to join the amendments, including the amendment of Japan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I see no more requests. So I invite you to examine the draft decision, paragraph by paragraph. Once the Secretariat...
Mr. Chair, if I may intervene, we can add point C as requested by the distinguished delegation of Japan.
Japan, is it the suitable place?
It can say requests the state party to submit to the World Heritage Center by 1 December 2025 a report on the implementation of the above mentioned by 1 December 2025 a report on the implementation of the above-mentioned recommendations for examination by the World Heritage Committee at its 48th session. It's 48th. Thank you.
So I'd like to ask Mexico if this reflects your request.
Sí, gracias, señor presidente.
Japan?
Yes, exactly.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to ask you to examine the draft decision paragraph by paragraph. So I see paragraph 1 and 2, there are no amendments. Do we agree to accept them as they are? Rwanda?
Oui, Monsieur le Président. On va redemander la parole tout à l'heure. Merci.
Thank you very much. So, do I agree to adopt them as they are? Paragraph 1 and 2, I see no objections. Adopted. Paragraph 3, we have a proposal. Do we agree to the proposed text? I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 4, we have a proposal. Do we agree to this text? I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 5, we have a proposal. Do we agree to the proposed text A and the subsequent A and B and C? Rwanda?
Oui, Monsieur le Président, merci. Nous voudrions savoir si c'était possible de donner la parole à l'État partie concernant le dernier point qui a été rajouté. Merci.
To the delegate of Rwanda, I would like to let you know, since we are examining the draft decision, so only committee members will be giving the floor. With this regard, do we agree to the proposed text? Including the addition by the state of Japan and Mexico. So I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 6. We have a proposed text. Do we agree to the proposed text? I see no objections. Adopted as proposed, as amended. So I invite you to adopt the whole draft decision, and if there are no objections, therefore, I declare draft decision 45, 8B1 adopted as amended. Let me congratulate Congo on behalf of the entire committee for the inscription of this property on the World Heritage List. Congo, you may have the floor for a brief statement of 2 minutes. Your Excellency, the Minister of Environment and Economy.
Merci, Monsieur le Président de la 45e session du Comité du patrimoine mondial. Je vous remercie pour votre leadership dans la conduite des travaux. Monsieur le Directeur du patrimoine mondial, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, Messieurs les ambassadeurs, chers experts, chers délégués, Mesdames et Messieurs, je suis particulièrement honorée en cette circonstance solennelle de prendre la parole devant cet auguste auditoire au nom du gouvernement de la République du Congo afin de remercier le gouvernement du Royaume d'Arabie Saoudite pour l'accueil chaleureux et l'hospitalité légendaire réservée à ma modeste personne ainsi qu'à la délégation qui m'accompagne depuis notre arrivée dans cette belle ville de Riyad. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, ce jour est mémorable non seulement pour la République du Congo, mais pour l'humanité tout entière et pour les générations futures et actuelles. Monsieur le Président, comme vous l'avez suivi, le Congo a présenté les efforts particuliers pour l'inscription de ce patrimoine depuis les années 2008 à ce jour. Par votre décision, issue de cette 45e session du Comité du patrimoine mondial, vous nous donnez l'occasion de célébrer la consécration de l'inscription du massif forestier d'Ozala-Kokwa sur la liste des sites d'exception du patrimoine mondial. Un trésor riche en biodiversité et de paysages naturels, situé au cœur de l'Afrique, dans le bassin du Congo. Votre acte historique de ce jour sera gravé à jamais dans les mémoires collectives du Congo et de l'humanité tout entière. Je voudrais témoigner par mon propos notre gratitude à tous les États membres qui nous ont supportés. Je n'aimerais pas prendre beaucoup de temps pour les citer ici, mais j'aimerais particulièrement adresser nos salutations au Rwanda, à l'Afrique du Sud, au Mali, ainsi qu'à d'autres membres, la Belgique, qui nous ont appuyés depuis la présentation de ce dossier. Nous remercions également nos partenaires techniques et financiers, particulièrement l'UNCN, l'Union européenne, l'Organisation des Nations Unies pour l'éducation, la science et la culture, l'Initiative pour le patrimoine mondial forestier d'Afrique centrale et le Fonds pour le patrimoine mondial africain pour leur contribution inestimable visant à améliorer la gestion des sites forestiers du bassin du Congo susceptibles d'être reconnus pour leur valeur universelle, exceptionnelle, dans la liste du patrimoine mondial naturel d'Afrique centrale. Nous prenons acte qu'au 1er décembre, la République du Congo va présenter un rapport qui prendra en compte les amendements souhaités par les membres. Nous vous invitons tous aussi au sommet des 3 bassins forestiers tropicaux du monde à Brazzaville. Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Excellency. قطر.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. أود في البداية أهنئ الكونغو على التسجيل، وهناك دولة عضو أوبزيرفر طالب الكلمة وهي موريتانيا، فإذا سمحتوا تعطونها الكلمة. هي صار لها فترة هي رفع اللائحة.
Your Excellency, تم الاتفاق على أنه في حال وجود أي تهنئة يتم التوجه إلى قاعة الاحتفالات الموجودة في جانب البيرو ميتينج.
سيد الرئيس، يبدو عندهم تعليق على هذا البند كأوبزيرفر بعد اعتماد هذا القرار.
ممكن تعيد الله يطول عمرك؟ ما نسمع.
لديهم تعليق على البند 8 بعد اعتماده بشكل عام. شكرا.
India.
Excellency, we have been seeing World Heritage Committee meetings from many, many years. This is not the first time the World Heritage Committee meeting is happening. And even when our inscriptions happen, we are just given a very specific amount of time, and thereafter there are no interventions. So I thank you for bringing this on record, and I thank you for the position that you have taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Your Excellency of Dawlat Qatar, the delegation of Dawlat Qatar. So as we have agreed from the beginning that we will proceed only, we'll give the floor to the concerned state party. So appreciate your understanding on this matter. So now I invite the IUCN to present the Under Feinan Dried Forest and Extension and Renomination of Tisengi di Barahara Strict Nature Reserve, Madagascar. IUCN, you may have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. L'évaluation de l'UCN se trouve aux pages indiquées sur la diapositive. Next. Next slide, please. La proposition concerne une extension en série du bien du patrimoine mondial, réserve naturelle intégrale de Singa de Bemaraha à Madagascar, qui a été inscrit au titre des critères naturels 7 et 10 en 1990 à la 14e session du Comité du patrimoine mondial à Banff au Canada. Au total, le bien élargi compterait 734 298 hectares avec des zones tampons de 838 035 hectares. Next slide, please. Concernant le critère 9, les sites proposés représentent des centres d'endémisme résultant d'oscillations paléoclimatiques dans l'ouest de Madagascar, où les variations du régime des pluies ont conduit à l'expansion et au recul des écosystèmes forestiers. Concernant le critère 10, les éléments constitutifs supplémentaires présentent un éventail spectaculaire de biodiversité caractérisée par des espèces endémiques, de lémuriens, d'oiseaux, des espèces menacées en danger critique d'extinction, notamment des mammifères selon la liste rouge des espèces de l'UICN. Le bien recouvre aussi partiellement 7 aires protégées considérées comme étant parmi les plus importantes au monde pour la conservation des mammifères, des oiseaux et des amphibiens. Diapo suivante, please. Par ailleurs, les forêts sèches de Madagascar ont été identifiées comme une priorité éventuelle pour de nouvelles candidatures à l'inscription sur la liste du patrimoine mondial en Afrique. À l'avis de l'UICN, cette extension à elle seule comblerait plusieurs lacunes importantes sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Diapo suivante, please. En ce qui concerne la protection et la gestion du bien proposé, les ajouts proposés se composent de 5 aires protégées avec les parcs nationaux d'Anakrafarasika, de Mikeya, de Simanamfa Persé et les réserves spéciales d'Analamenara d'Ankarana, chacune disposant de son propre plan de gestion. Les plans de gestion précisent la nécessité de maintenir la valeur universelle exceptionnelle des sites. Ces éléments sont intégrés dans un plan stratégique de gestion du réseau d'aires protégées et ils bénéficient aussi de vastes systèmes de suivi normalisés avec des évaluations annuelles de la gestion des aires protégées du point de vue des menaces. Dans la zone tampon, les mécanismes de gouvernance sont rigoureusement axés sur des approches de développement durable avec une gestion de la zone tampon à laquelle sont associées différentes structures d'organisation communautaires. Les communautés reçoivent une part du revenu des aires protégées des accords coutumiers appelés d'Inabé. Sont conclus entre les personnels des aires protégées et les communautés locales pour réglementer les activités. l'UCN note que l'État partie a pris des mesures importantes dans la lutte contre ces menaces. Cependant, ces efforts doivent être renforcés dans la restauration écologique des écosystèmes. Next slide, please. En conclusion, l'UCN recommande au Comité du patrimoine mondial d'inscrire les forêts sèches de l'Andrefana sur la liste du patrimoine mondial en tant qu'extension au titre des critères naturels 7, 9 et 10. En effet, avec les ajouts en série proposés, presque tous les centres d'endémisme des forêts sèches occidentales de Madagascar, notamment, seraient représentés et intégrés dans ce complexe écologique. Toutefois, Monsieur le Président, l'UCN a noté qu'il y a une exception notable du centre d'endémisme de Mena Bay Antimena. L'État partie a ensuite clarifié dans l'information complémentaire que les aires protégées du dit centre ne remplissent pas encore les obligations relatives à la protection et à la gestion. Par ailleurs, les travaux de recherche additionnels et d'autres consultations publiques seront requises à mesure que le statut d'aire protégée soit renforcé. Néanmoins, Monsieur le Président, l'État partie reconnaît et l'UCN abonde fermement dans ce même sens qu'il est souhaitable de proposer un élément constitutif du centre d'endémisme de Mena Bay Antimena, dès que possible pour renforcer l'intégrité du bien proposé. Il est donc recommandé de refléter ce point de vue dans la décision. J'en ai fini, Monsieur le Président. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask if there are any interventions from the floor. Greece, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our delegation would like to commend the State Party for this excellent dossier and to express our support to the inscription of this nomination according to the advisory body recommendation. We would like also to highlight the significance of this nomination since the extension of an already inscribed property demonstrates the existence of a constant effort on behalf of the State Party to provide further protection of the property, especially in terms of integrity and conservation. Furthermore, as already noted by IUCN, the nomination is expected to fill important gaps on the World Heritage List on the grounds of biodiversity criteria. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Mali?
Monsieur le Président, nous tenons d'abord à féliciter l'État partie de Madagascar pour cette proposition d'extension et d'inscription sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Il s'agit d'une candidature de grande qualité. Indiquons ensuite que ces sites additionnels sont d'importance extrême pour la conservation car ils comprennent des centres d'endémisme de forêts sèches à Madagascar, connus particulièrement pour leur mégadiversité que l'on ne retrouve dans aucun autre bien du patrimoine mondial. Les éléments composants supplémentaires présentent un éventail spectaculaire de biodiversité endémique et menacée avec des taxons tels que les baobabs, des membres de la famille de plantes succulentes, des flamboyants, des espèces endémiques de lémuriens, un genre d'une famille d'oiseaux endémiques et 3 des 4 dernières tortues terrestres de Madagascar. La présence de genres endémiques et même de familles de vertébrés, comprenant souvent des espèces hautement menacées dans les éléments composants proposés, est unique parmi les forêts sèches du monde, ainsi que le reconnaît du reste l'UICN. De même, l'État partie malgache s'efforce de mettre en place une approche hautement intégrée en matière de gestion pour le développement durable avec les communautés et ces approches sont également intégrées dans les initiatives et projets régionaux de développement durable. Au regard de ce qui précède, le Mali soutient cette proposition d'extension ainsi que son inscription sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much. Sultanate Oman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like first to thank IUCN for these positive reports. In addition, I congratulate and thanks also the State Party for their commitment and for this modification. I think this is an added value for the site, and we do approve it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see no more interventions. I now invite you, dear colleagues, to adopt the draft decision 45-COM 8B.2, but before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendment on the draft decision proposed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received no amendments for the draft decision 45-COM 8B.2. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, dear colleagues, we don't have any proposed text, and if there are no objections, I therefore declare draft decision 45-COM 8B.2 adopted. Congratulations to Madagascar on behalf of the entire committee for the approval of the extension of this property. Madagascar, you may have the floor for a 2-minute brief statement.
Monsieur le Président, Excellences, en vos titres et vos honneurs respectifs, nous sommes très heureux d'être parmi vous aujourd'hui en cette session pour prendre la décision de l'inscription de ce bien dans le patrimoine mondial. Nous ne sommes que des gardiens dans cette gestion, mais c'est à nous tous, ce bien céréal. Donc, nous n'avons pas grand mot que de vous remercier. Merci à l'UNESCO, merci au Centre du patrimoine mondial, merci à ces organes de consultation, merci au comité et à nous tous, et surtout, les États membres qui nous soutiennent pour cette inscription. Merci à vous.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, I now invite IUCN to present the extension of renomination of Ha Long Bay to include the Cat Ba Archabil in Vietnam. But before I give the floor to the Secretariat, you may have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Concerning the evaluation of the nomination of Along Bay Cat Ba Archipelago, as an extension of Along Bay, we received a factual error notification, which is on page 16 of both the English and French version of document INFAIT before. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. IUCN.
So thank you, Chair. IUCN's evaluation of this property can be found on the pages indicated on the slide. And Ha Long Bay was inscribed in 1994 under Criterion 7 and in the year 2000 under Criterion 8. In 2013, the Cat Ba Archipelago was already nominated as a separate property under Criteria 9 and 10, and the IUCN evaluation at the time concluded a recommendation to not inscribe Cat Ba as a separate property, but recommended that it could be considered as an extension of Ha Long Bay under Criteria 7 and 8, and possibly Criterion 10. And so that is, in a sense, the proposal we have before us now. Next slide, please. And so this present file is a renomination of Ha Long Bay under all 4 natural criteria, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and an extension of the area of Ha Long Bay to include the adjacent Cat Ba Archipelago. And so the new proposal for the nominated property covers a total of just over 65,000 hectares, and the extension would be 22,250 hectares within that larger area. Next slide, please. Overall, Mr. Chair, IUCN concludes that the Cat Ba Archipelago does have potential as an extension of Ha Long Bay under Criteria 7 and 8, we further consider that the potential is also evident under criterion 10. However, at present, the full justification of that criterion has not been fully demonstrated based on accurate and updated species data for the whole of the nominated property. As in the previous evaluation, Mr. Chair, the IUCN panel concluded that there was not a case to consider further the application of criterion 9, the ecosystem criteria in this case. Mr. Chair, IUCN has noted in its evaluation that the nominated property is subject to several current and potential threats, especially in regard to the impacts of substantial tourism activities, and this has been a recurring topic in state of conservation reports for the existing property of Ha Long Bay since 1995. And the prospect of continuing large-scale tourism is a significant risk to the integrity of the proposed extended property. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, the archipelago of Cat Ba was already receiving up to 2.7 million visitors per year. It was indicated that there are plans to increase that to 3.7 million by 2025, and with a long-term vision of 10 million of visitors by 2050. Next slide, please. The supplementary information that was provided by the State Party confirms there are a number of large-scale development projects in the planning stage which have risks of fragmentation and demands for natural resources. And a number of these large-scale projects could impact the potential outstanding universal value of this nominated property, including a new international seaport that's being constructed to the west of Cat Ba Island. So based on the information provided, IUCN has also noted that there are gaps in the protection of Cat Ba Archipelago, and there's a need to strengthen regulation, especially for tourism, but also a number of other threats in order to secure the future integrity of the property. And also there appears to be a need to extend the Cat Ba National Park to ensure that all of the important values that are noted inside and outside of the national park are adequately protected. There is a management plan, but there are concerns about that in relation to its institutional arrangements for biodiversity conservation, and there is a lack of monitoring proposals in place except for the iconic Cat Ba langur, a key species of the Cat Ba Island. The action plan for 2021 to 25 is based on tourism and the marine part of the nominated property, but there are a lack of action specified for terrestrial conservation and management, and a lack of a separate tourism management plan for the area. So, Mr. Chair, based on the nomination of 2022, we concluded that the significant growth plans for large-scale tourism and industrial development are significant and serious threats to the integrity of both the terrestrial and the marine parts of the nominated property, to an extent that the requirements of the operational guidelines are not met. And we consider that the impacts of these threats do need to be reduced to at least the maximum ecological capacity of the nominated property. Next slide, please. So in that regard, Mr. Chair, whilst there is strong potential, we see both integrity and protection and management needing to be addressed. The last slide, please. For these reasons, the IUCN panel recommendation is that the World Heritage Committee would consider a deferral of this extension of Ha Long Bay to include the Cat Ba Archipelago, to allow for the time needed to reconsider the development projects that I've referred to and these threats that are present, and also to complete the missing information in relation to the potential justification under criterion 10. Mr. Chair, I'd just like to conclude by acknowledging the positive dialogue with the State Party and also the concerned local authorities that are responsible both for the existing property and the extension, which including a very productive meeting that took place yesterday, and acknowledge the recent statements that have been made both by the State Party and the local governments regarding assurances of their commitments to work to conserve Ha Long Bay and the Cat Ba Archipelago, which I believe have also been shared with the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. So I would like to see if there are any comments regarding this nomination. Thailand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dear committee members, Thailand wishes to refer to the draft decision 45 Com 8B.3 regarding the Ha Long Bay Cat Ba Archipelago nomination. We appreciate the work of the IUCN on the review and assessment of the nomination dossier of the Halong Bay Cat-Ba Archipelago, as well as the outcomes of the field mission at the Halong Bay Cat-Ba Archipelago. My delegation believes that valuable recommendations provided by the IUCN would support the State Party of Vietnam in completing and taking specific actions to better protect the natural values of the property at present and in the future. Thailand also would like to commend the State Party of Vietnam for their work and commitment on the nomination and protection of the sites. The nomination dossier for extending the existing World Heritage Site of Halong Bay to include the Cat-Ba Archipelago has been prepared based on the recommendations by the IUCN in 1993 and 2013. The nomination is mainly aimed at better protecting and ensuring the integrity of the heritage property without any limitations pertaining to administrative boundaries between the two provinces that the sites locate in. Furthermore, with several meetings with the State Party, Thailand is of the view that the State Party has been positive and forthcoming in dealing with IUCN recommendations. My delegation would also like to take this opportunity to touch on a few couple points as follows. With regard to the development projects, upon receiving the IUCN report, the government of Vietnam has taken prompt action by directing relevant ministries and agencies to provide some guidances to the provinces on the management of the development projects in the property. The government has placed priority on mitigating impacts on the outstanding universal values in accordance with the operational guidelines and relevant Vietnamese law. Regarding the management issue, local authorities of Haiphong City and Quang Ninh Province have established a joint management mechanism for the interprovincial property at all levels. The State Party also commits to institutionalize the current mechanism as well as to revise and complete the management plan as per IUCN's recommendation in order to ensure effective management of the property. Moreover, the State Party of Vietnam also confirms that there are clear evidence of community consultations which led to their consented relocation from the core zone to a more manageable area in the buffer zone. The government is also committed to take necessary steps to ensure better living conditions, job creation, improve social services, including healthcare, schooling for children, and so forth. In light of the above-mentioned situation, Mr. Chair, Thailand wishes to extend our support for the approval of the significant boundary modification of Halong Bay to include Cat-Ba Archipelago under criteria 7 and 8. My delegation has proposed the draft amendment, and we hope that the committee members could lend their support. And with your permission, may I also ask to kindly give the floor to the State Party of Vietnam in order to provide an additional information on any issues the committee members might deem necessary. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Dawlat Qatar.
Mr. Chair, the State of Qatar acknowledged the significant boundary modification of Halong Bay, Vietnam, to include the Cat-Ba Archipelago to become a Halong Bay Cat-Ba Archipelago on the World Heritage List for the list of reasons here. Both of sites are located at the northeast of Vietnam, which both coexist to represent one of the most important areas in the world for karst tower landscape and an excellent example of karst matured in a humid tropical condition containing limestone karst terrain flooded by the sea. Also, the property has contributed to the completing of stages of the process of sea induction of the tropical karst through example of the terrestrial and enteridical stages, and all the necessary elements fully reflected the outstanding universal values of Halong Bay were fulfilled. With regard to Operation Guidelines Criteria 7 and 8, the State of Qatar encourages the State Party to revise and complete the management plan to address key threats to the property and strengthen the law enforcement. Also, to continue the engagement of local communities. With the above being said, the State of Qatar supports the significant boundary modification to become Halong Bay Cat-Ba Archipelago on the World Heritage List and the draft amendment decision proposed by Thailand. Thank you.
Shukran jazilan. Sultanate Oman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Oman expresses gratitude and appreciation for the commendable efforts the State Party had made in preserving and protecting the Halong Bay. which was first inscribed in 1994 under Criteria 7, and also inscribed in 2000 under Criteria 8. To include Cat Bay Archipelago has been prepared based on the recommendation by IUCN 1993 and 2013. The nomination is mainly aimed at a better protecting and ensuring the integrity of the world natural property without limiting to administrative boundary between the two provinces. Therefore, the dedication to expand the Cat Bay National Park, which is noted by IUCN, will definitely ensure the importance values in nominating areas outside the national park and adequately protected these invaluable environmental treasure will truly be inspiring to all countries. By prioritizing the conservation of this property, the State Party has shown great commitment to preserving it to ensure that future generations will be able to appreciate and learn from their rich heritage. Though their unwavering support, they have set an excellent example, proactive measure which has guided by the province with the World Heritage property, how to propose, plan, and assess development projects in the areas of coming time, ensuring mitigating impact on its OUV, in accordance to the Vietnamese law and in operational guide for the implementation of the World Heritage Conservation. In addition, the consultation with the local community in order to get their free and informal consents for relocation. They have been relocated to another manageable area in the buffer zone with which better living conditions. Furthermore, the commitment of the State Party to research, educate, and training in conservation showcases in the long-term vision and dedication to continuously improve and refine the preservation effort. By investing in these areas, State Party is equipping future generations with necessary knowledge and skills to continue preserving and promoting these significant sites. Finally, it is important to mention the great State Party's collaboration with international organizations and engagement in global networks further enhance their effort, allowing for the exchange of experience, best practices, and resources. We welcome and support the proposed amendment by Thailand, and we thank you.
Thank you very much. Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving me the floor. Nigeria has paid a great attention to the documents and draft decision on this item. We note and commend the assessment and recommendation of the IUCN, as well as the concerns expressed for which the dossier is being deferred. Mr. Chair, however, looking at the responses of the State Party of Vietnam, which show the cancellation of some future development projects while adapting others for the purpose of maintaining the outstanding universal value of both the existing Hallo Bay World Heritage Site and the extension being sought of Cat Ba Archipelago, we believe that Vietnam's approach has demonstrated that no harm will be done to OUV of the totality of the site after extension. We are privy to the fact that apart from the responding fully to the concerns expressed and having resolved the management issues, the State Party has also undertaken to reduce the number of criteria on the premise of which the extension was sought to match those of the existing site. In the light of the efforts and the foregoing looking approaches which promise continued protection of the OUV of the new site in its entirety, plus the fact that Vietnam will continue to cooperate with the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies going forward to preserve the integrity of the property in its entirety, we are recommending that the decision be adopted as amended by granting an approval for the extension sought by the member state. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Japan.
Thank you, Chairperson. We would like to re-express our position of cautious approach to change the draft decision from deferral to inscribe. From this viewpoint, we would like to ask a question to the state party. Halong Bay is a beautiful site and very famous tourist destination, including Japanese tourists. It's important to keep a good quality of tourist experiences, and tourism management has been a priority issue for this site. Extending the site could increase the management challenges. We understand this extension is going to be the first case of joint management of two local governments in Vietnam. In Japan, we have two natural sites involving two local governments in the management of the site. And from our experience, sometimes it's not easy to coordinate the activities. So with this background, we would like to seek explanation from the state party on the measures or structure in place for the effective coordination and cooperation among two provinces, especially in tourism management. And also, we would appreciate if the state party share with us the results of dialogue with IUCN yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Egypt?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My delegation would like to thank the State Party of Vietnam for preparing the nomination file for the extension of the World Heritage Site of Halong Bay, and appreciate the assessment and recommendation of the World Heritage Center and the IUCN. Upon studying the IUCN report on this extended property, we have found that the State Party followed the recommendation of IUCN in 2013 regarding the need to have an extended nomination to include Cat Ba Archipelago in Halong Bay site as we have today. The extension will help to enhance the OUV of Halong Bay and mobilize coordinated efforts by the two provinces to effectively deal with challenges in order to preserve the property for future generations. Furthermore, all the necessary elements that reflect the outstanding universal value of the site are located within the nominated property and protected by a surrounding buffer zone. In light of this situation, my delegation supports Thailand's amendment to the draft decision. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Italy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Italy expresses its gratitude to the advisory body for its accurate evaluation, and we are sure that IUCN's comments have been and will be very important for the State Party. The property has long been included in the World Heritage List, and we believe that the boundary modification proposed can improve integrity and protection of the site, in particular by eliminating the limitation of administrative borders between the two provinces. We have carefully considered the updated information provided by the State Party, and we believe that adequate measures have been taken regarding tourist resort and other development projects in the buffer zone. Furthermore, we have been informed that the new projects in the buffer zone have not yet been approved, and several measures have been implemented to protect the integrity and the OUV of the property. Finally, we appreciated that on the basis of the evaluation by IUCN, Vietnam decided to renounce to nominate the site for Criterion 9. Therefore, we commend Vietnam's efforts to improve the sites through boundary modification, and we are very pleased to support the amendments proposed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. India?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for giving me the floor on the agenda item 45.8b.3, Halong Bay Cat Ba Archipelago, extension and renomination of the Halong Bay, Vietnam, which has got a deferral recommendation by IUCN, the advisory body for natural sites. But amendments have been presented for inscriptions. I thank the excellent work done by the World Heritage Secretariat and the advisory body. We respect the views of the advisory body. Hence, when the advisory body has given a deferral recommendation, then there are major considerations involved. If the amendment is from deferral to inscription, then serious discussion and clarifications are required. the State Party of Vietnam met us and have clarified that they have taken prompt actions to provide guidelines to the local authorities to propose, plan, assess development projects in the area of the property in the coming time, ensuring to mitigate impacts on its outstanding universal values inscribed by UNESCO in accordance with Vietnamese law and the operational guidelines. India appreciates the efforts and strong commitment from Vietnam regarding the integrity, protection, management of the property. The letter of commitment by the Deputy Prime Minister of Vietnam and 2 other letters of commitments by 2 leaders of Hai Phong City and Quang Ninh Province exhibit the seriousness and commitment of the leaders and the local community to strictly observe the national policy and the Convention of 1972 to protect the property for future generations. This commitment is also strengthened by the presence of the 2 vice chairmen of Quang Ninh Province and Hai Phong City at this meeting in Riyadh. India therefore supports the amended draft decision proposal for inscription and approves the significant boundary modification of Halong Bay to include Katba Archipelago to become Halong Bay Katba Archipelago on the World Heritage List. I will say a line in the Vietnamese language, Indo Hung Ho Vietnam. I request you to give the floor to Vietnam to respond to the concerns of the advisory body. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Belgium.
Thank you, Chair. Considering that the nomination of the extension of the Halong Bay World Heritage Property, inscribed almost 30 years ago, with the adjacent Katba Archipelago, has been a long time coming, following IUCN recommendations in 1993 and 2013, and an evaluation report in 2018. Considering also that the State Party has agreed and taken multiple, including legal, commitments to meet IUCN's concerns regarding the integrity, protection, and management of both the existing Halong Bay property and the Katba Archipelago extension. Considering further that the State Party has agreed to nominate the major boundary modification of the Halong Bay property on the basis of the criteria identified by IUCN to establish provable, outstanding universal value. Considering as well that the State Party claims to also seek the extension of the Halong Bay property with the Katba Archipelago to apply the stringent procedure of Article 172 of the operational guidelines and corresponding oversight of the World Heritage Center and IUCN, to also better protect the integrity of the Halong Bay property and provide authorities in both concerned provinces with more and better means to withstand growing pressures from mass tourism, real estate developers, and unsustainable economic development. Considering further that the State Party is committed to pursue socio-economic development of the nominated extended property that is contingent upon sustainable environmental protection, and that its decision taken in that respect will warrant the rights and entitlements of the local communities. Therefore, Mr. Chair, Belgium has decided to co-author the draft amendment submitted by our esteemed colleagues of the Kingdom of Thailand. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Shukran.
Thank you very much. Afwan, Argentina.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Bueno, primero queremos agradecer los informes tan detallados de la IUCN, también los informes presentados también por la Secretaría. Quisiéramos apoyar las enmiendas presentadas por Tailandia a efectos de aprobar la modificación sustancial del límite del sitio Halong Bay al archipiélago Katba. Entendemos que dicha modificación tiene como principal objetivo proteger, garantizar mejor la integridad del bien natural, considerado sin ninguna limitación a las fronteras administrativas entre las 2 provincias en las que se ubica. Reconocemos también los compromisos asumidos por dichas provincias en favor de la conservación del sitio. Asimismo, destacamos que Vietnam ha aceptado las recomendaciones de la UICN y ha aceptado proponer su nominación centrándose solo en 2 criterios, el 7 y el 8. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much. Zambia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In this committee session, it is crucial to address concerns raised by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, regarding the protection of Halong Bay. Swift action is imperative to safeguard this property for the benefit of future generations. Paragraph 8 of the operation guidelines emphasizes the importance of protecting World Heritage properties from adverse impacts, particularly those stemming from large-scale projects. The proposal to extend the Halong Bay to encompass Cat Ba archipelago aligns perfectly with this principle, as it seeks to bolster the protection and preservation of this exceptional site, as articulated in Article 4 of the Convention. To underscore the significance of World Heritage status, consider the example of Vietnam's Triang and Complex, initially embroiled in controversy due to pollution from nearby cement factories, as highlighted in Article 3 of the Convention. This site has since undergone a remarkable transformation after being inscribed on the World Heritage List. It now stands as a serene and ecologically vibrant testament to Vietnam's dedication to conserving its heritage, a testament to the Convention's core principles. The success story of the Triang and Complex, which even impressed the UNESCO General Director during her visit, exemplifies the harmony achieved between economic development and sustainable tourism and the preservation of nature, as outlined in paragraph 11 of the operation guidelines. This achievement instills confidence that a similar approach can be successfully applied to the proposed extension of Halong Bay. Similar to Triang and Complex, the extension of Halong Bay to include Cat Ba archipelago seeks to enhance protection and ensure the integrity of this invaluable property, aligning it with Convention's core objective as articulated in Article 2, which is to identify and safeguard sites of outstanding universal value. Given these considerations, we as the Zambian delegation wholeheartedly support Thailand's proposal to significantly modify the boundaries of Halong Bay to include Cat Ba archipelago on the World Heritage List. Such a decision would align seamlessly with the principles of the Convention and reinforce our collective commitment to the preservation of the natural and cultural treasures of our world for generations to come. I submit, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Ethiopia. Zambia, the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. My delegation would like to appreciate the work done by the World Heritage Center and the IUCN and thank Thailand for proposing the draft amendment, particularly on the significant boundary modification of Halong Bay to include Cat Ba archipelago, a property of outstanding universal value. It is our understanding that upon preparation of nomination, the state party reached a consensus among the local communities who wish to have a new World Heritage site as soon as possible. In fact, we believe this brings many benefits, such as sustainable environmental protection, sustainable socio-economic development, ensuring security and safety like many heritage properties have brought over the years in their reality. Additionally, it is also the understanding of our delegation that consensus has been reached among communities who had to relocate out of the core area to new premises, and that the number of locals affected by the relocation has been on a decrease significantly. The state party informed that compensation schemes and assistance are provided for them to settle in better conditions. In this regard, we support Thailand's proposal for amendment of the draft decision regarding the significant boundary modification of Halong Bay, extending to Katba Archipelago to become Halong Bay Katba Archipelago on the World Heritage List. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Bulgaria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, for giving us the floor. We warmly welcome the fact that the State Party has worked in close cooperation with IUCN for many years, and this significant boundary modification is the result of the received advice and joint collaboration. As for the integrity, we consider that the proposed enlarged site will provide adequate protection of the OUV of the whole area, since all necessary elements have been included in the core area and in the buffer zone. After careful review of the documents, we are on the view that the legal protection is guaranteed as the extended area falls under multiple designations, such as National Park, Biosphere Reserve, National Special Scenic Site, and so on, and thus the property has effective national legal protection. Management tools are also available, such as regulations, master plans, and action plans. So, acknowledging the efforts of the State Party together with the advisory body and encouraging the State Party to implement timely the recommendations in the draft decision, we support the proposed amendment as initially suggested by Thailand. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Russian Federation.
Sorry. Спасибо, уважаемый господин председатель. Мы высоко оцениваем представленное государством-участникам номинационное досье о расширении существующего объекта всемирного наследия бухты Халон путем включения в его границы выдающихся природных ландшафтов архипелага Катба. Входящие в архипелаг Катба районы отличаются высоким биоразнообразием. Широко известны муссонные леса в центральной части Катба. На архипелаге обитает редкий вид приматов, золотой лангур Катба, а также другие представители флоры и фауны, некоторые из которых больше нигде не встречаются. Государство-участник уже добилось успехов в решении проблемы загрязнения окружающей среды, в частности, в очистке сточных вод, и взял на себя твердое обязательство по борьбе с такими вызовами и угрозами, как массовый туризм, крупномасштабные девелоперские проекты и развитие судоходства, которые оказывают негативное воздействие на объект. Приветствуем усилия вьетнамской стороны по организации комплексной системы управления объектом и эффективной организации координации между двумя провинциями. Представители администрации провинции, в свою очередь, наращивают сотрудничество. И мы уверены, что в будущем, путем совместных усилий этих провинций при поддержке правительства Вьетнама, других вовлеченных сторон различных уровней, они смогут обеспечить сохранение выдающейся универсальной ценности расширенной номинации. Мы также отмечаем готовность вьетнамской стороны обеспечить проведение оценок воздействия на объект при планировании любой проектной деятельности на территории объекта, его буферной зоны и широкого окружения. Благодарим Центр всемирного наследия и консультативные органы за проведенную работу и продуктивный, транспарентный диалог с вьетнамской стороной. Поддерживаем поправки, предложенные Таиландом. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. Mali.
Monsieur le Président, comme nous avons pu le comprendre après la présentation de ce dossier, le bien proposé pour extension et inscription est un site exceptionnel qui abrite un large éventail d'espèces marines et terrestres, notamment un grand nombre de plantes et surtout des espèces animales dont certaines sont endémiques et menacées. Nous notons aussi que la baie d'Along a été inscrite pour la première fois en 1994 selon le critère 7 et également en 2000 selon le critère 8 pour inclure l'archipel de Katba. L'État partie du Vietnam ne fait que poursuivre une procédure et répondre à une recommandation de l'UICN concernant cette extension. Conformément aux informations disponibles et actualisées, mérite d'être salué de nombreux efforts entrepris par le Vietnam dès la réception du rapport de l'organe d'évaluation. Ils ont notamment consisté à planifier et évaluer les projets de développement dans la zone du bien en veillant à atténuer les impacts sur sa valeur universelle exceptionnelle conformément à la loi vietnamienne. En outre, les localités concernées ont mis en œuvre un certain nombre d'activités pour protéger l'intégrité et la valeur universelle du bien, ainsi que l'atteste du reste, notamment la résolution numéro 5/2021 du 12 août 2021 relative au soutien financier et à la mise en œuvre du démantèlement des installations aquacoles dans les baies de l'archipel de Cat-Ba. Mérite d'être pris en compte l'engagement de l'État partie du Vietnam à prendre des mesures spécifiques pour mettre en œuvre les recommandations de l'UICN et ce, immédiatement après l'inscription du bien. Compte tenu de ce qui précède, nous encourageons l'État partie à continuer à évaluer les besoins de soutien du plan de réintégration, à mener des politiques et des programmes de soutien pour faciliter l'intégration de la communauté locale. Enfin, nous approuvons les amendements proposés aux fins de permettre la nouvelle inscription du bien de la baie d'Along ainsi que son extension pour intégrer l'archipel de Cat-Ba. Merci bien, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much. Greece?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our delegation has examined very carefully this nomination dossier, as well as the advisory body's evaluation, whereas we have asked further for clarifications from the state party in order to establish a well-informed opinion on this case. Therefore, we believe that this request for enlargement and inscription should be accepted for four main reasons. First, the advisory body recognizes the potential of the nominated property to meet criteria 7 and 8, whereas the state party is also of the view that the possibility of using criterion 10 needs further investigation and documentation. Second, the state party gives its assurances as of non-licensing large-scale projects so far, its commitment to implementing IUCN's recommendations concerning these projects, as well as the observance of paragraph 172 of the operational guidelines concerning future projects. 3. This proposed extension of the boundaries of the nominated property has been a great opportunity for two provinces of Vietnam to successfully cooperate in order to safeguard their cultural heritage. This is considered by the state party a unique example that can inspire other initiatives of this kind within the country or together with neighboring countries. And finally, our support to this nomination is based on the assurances on behalf of the state party that the nomination has the full consent of the local residents. Moreover, it goes hand in hand with the efforts undertaken by the state party to improve living conditions of the residents and takes into consideration their needs. Mr. Chair, given all the above, we are convinced that this proposal meets all the prerequisites to be accepted, and that also it will substantially contribute to the protection of the property from exploitation and over-tourism in the coming years. Therefore, our delegation fully supports the amendments proposed by Thailand. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. South Africa?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving South Africa the floor. Firstly, we would like to commend the State Party of Vietnam for the submission of extension and renomination of Ha Long Bay to include Cat Ba Archipelago. Chairperson, the State Party of Vietnam has demonstrated its commitment to addressing the issues raised by the IUCN in their evaluation mission report. For example, increasing protection of the proposed site, community consultation, and addressing large-scale developments that might have negative impact to the OUV of the site in line with the state party applicable legislation. After examining the dossier and followed by the discussion with the State Party of Vietnam, Mr. Chair, our assessment is that this site fulfills the requirement for listing in the UNESCO World Heritage List. In light of the above content, Mr. Chair, the delegation of South Africa would like to support the extension of the boundary and renomination for inscription of Ha Long Bay to include Cat Ba Archipelago. I thank you.
Thank you very much. St. Vincent and Grenadines?
Mr. Chair, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has reviewed the amendment, examined the reports and dossier, and has listened to presentations from the state party on the Ha Long Bay Cat Ba archipelago site of Vietnam. We note that the Ha Long Bay World Heritage Site was inscribed in 1994 under criteria 7 and again in 2000 under criteria 8. The IUCN recommendation of 1993 and 2013 to include Cat Ba archipelago is also noted, as the state party proceeded to prepare the current dossier on that basis. In fact, the extension of boundaries to include Cat Ba archipelago captures areas already protected under Vietnam heritage laws. Further expansion of the boundaries recommended by IUCN will be addressed once this new area has been inscribed. We note that large-scale development projects within or directly affecting the property have not been granted approval to proceed, and efforts are being made to improve site management and to involve the neighboring communities. In fact, both provinces have agreed and are committed to cooperate in ensuring that activities conform with expectations of a World Heritage Site. We applaud the efforts of the state party in this regard. Therefore, St. Vincent and the Grenadines supports the amendment to significantly modify the boundary of Ha Long Bay, Vietnam, to include Cat Ba archipelago, to become the Ha Long Bay Cat Ba archipelago on the World Heritage List. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rwanda.
Thank you very much, Chair. Considering that IUCN recommendations have been followed, Rwandan delegation commend the State Party of Vietnam for the measures which were put in place to protect the property. We note with satisfaction that all the necessary elements related to the OUV are protected. Therefore, Rwandan delegation support the amendment proposed by Thailand presented before you. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. المملكة العربية السعودية.
السلام عليكم. نود أن نشكر دولة فيتنام على الجهود التي بذلتها للمحافظة على الموقع، ونشكر الجهات الاستشارية، ونؤيد التعديلات التي تم إبداعها من الدول الأعضاء. شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا. So I see no more requests. I would like to pass the floor now to the State Party to respond to the question raised by the Japanese delegation.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First of all, I wish to express our sincere thanks to the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the wonderful organization of the meeting. And I also like to thank Thailand and other committee members who co-authors and supports the amendment. Vietnam has taken various actions to endorse IUCN recommendations to better ensure the integrity, protection, and management of the property. With regard to the question raised by the distinguished delegate of Japan, we wish to share with you about the meetings we have between the representatives of Vietnam and IUCN and World Heritage Centers. We have two meetings. The first one's online on the 6th of September, and the second one is the meeting in Presencia in Riyadh yesterday. And I'm sure that Mr. Tim Batman and Mr. Alessandro Bansamo can share with me the view that we have very fruitful and constructive dialogue in the spirit of cooperation and mutual understanding. We touch upon three issues, and we agree on three issues that I wish to share with you. The first one regarding criteria. We fully agree that Ha Long Bay Cat Ba archipelago can meet the criteria 7 and 8. And also, at the advice of IUCN, Vietnam will study the potential criteria 10 for future renomination. The second issue regarding management, IUCN appreciates the efforts made by the local authorities to work closely together with a strong level of collaboration and with a joint management platform at all levels. And the leaders there are committed to further institutionalize the current mechanism to revise and complete the management plan. This site will be the first site of the joint management between the two provinces, and definitely with the joint efforts of the leaders and the local communities of the two provinces, I'm sure that the issues that the delegations of Japan mentioned, the mass tourism, will be effectively dealt with. And this could be the first inter-provincial site, which also inspired other provinces and cities in Vietnam to work for closely together, and also can inspire for another model of trans-boundary site in the future as well. The third issue regarding development projects, we are strongly committed to put the property at the highest level of legal protection with the letters of commitments of the leaders of Vietnam and so the provinces as well. So the extension helps to enhance the OUV, the property, and better protect and ensure the integrity of the world natural property, not only for the present, but also for the future generation.
Thank you,
and having said that, the government of Vietnam would sincerely ask for the support of the committee for the inscription of Ha Long Bay and Cat Ba archipelago. I thank you.
I would like to pass the floor to IUCN for some. Japan, you have the floor.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. If you wanted to give the floor to IUCN, please. And after that, we want to make an intervention. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. IUCN?
Thank you, Chair. I think it would just be appropriate for IUCN to comment on the meeting as well, and I'd like to just firstly confirm that the three key points that were just raised by the distinguished ambassador of Vietnam are indeed, from our point of view, the key points from that discussion, and also just to reiterate firstly that there is a clear potential for the application of criterion 10, and so the further exploration of that is an important part of the deliberation of the committee. Secondly, I think to welcome the opportunity that has been provided to hear not only the commitments that are necessary at the national level, but in this case the commitments that need to be taken on board by the two different provinces that are concerned. And IUCN knows from our long association of work in Vietnam that it can be quite challenging to ensure coordination between provincial level efforts, and I think Japan also alluded to the difficulties that can sometimes take place within countries in terms of that type of collaboration. So I think we greatly have appreciated meeting the leaders of the two provinces concerned and hearing firsthand the degree to which their collaboration has increased. And thirdly, I think just to endorse but make clear the challenge that exists with the threats that are present with the existing property and also the area that is proposed for extension, notwithstanding the clear commitments that have been made. We know that these are challenging issues because they've been issues that have come to the committee on a number of occasions with the existing property, and the mission could see that these are not going to be matters that are dealt with overnight. So I think we also note that the clear role of this committee to support but also to request state parties to continue to protect sites once they are listed will remain extremely important for this property, given the need to ensure the outstanding universal value is preserved in the long term. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I'll pass the floor now to Japan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. As our expert said earlier, I think we have to have a very cautious and extensive discussions in case we have deferral recommendations. That is why we wanted to ask questions first and hear the views of the member state concerned as well as the evaluation bodies. And also, we wanted to hear views from the members of the committee at the same time. And that is why I had to come back at this moment in time. Now, on the basis of the discussions which we have heard, several things are very clear. First of all, the issue of criteria, as both Vietnam and IUCN confirmed, there's a OUV. Well, I mean, IUCN has to say that it's a potential OUV, but of course, but respecting that, there's a kind of OUV on 7 and 8. And also, IUCN did raise a question of management for protection. And there were several points which did not exist before, but obviously, now we have the representatives, vice chairpersons of the two provinces, and then they showed a very clear commitment. I'm sure that other committee members have heard those clear commitments from those two very senior officials of those two provinces. That will make a lot of differences. And also, IUCN did express concern about the tourism issue, but again here, we understand that Vietnamese authorities, including the instructions or letter from the Deputy Prime Minister, on those, as a result of those actions, we have enough confidence in what Vietnam is going to do in regard to this issue. Now, this is an extension case. This is an extension case, so this could be an extension of protection. That has its own meaning. And on top of that, I think we can probably come back to this issue after a few years in terms of the SOC report of this particular property. So we'll have an occasion to see how implementation is going to be secured in the years ahead. So all in all, and again, thank you very much, IUCN, and thank you very much, Vietnam, to have this constructive dialogue. That will make our work a lot easier and clear. So with all of that, we would like to join the other delegations in supporting the proposal from Thailand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to pass the floor to India.
Thank you, Excellency. I support what the Ambassador of Japan has said, and we all support Vietnam in this regard, primarily because of the commitment. And I re-emphasize, it is the commitment being shown at the highest level of Vietnamese leadership. None other than the Deputy Prime Minister of Vietnam has written about this commitment. This shows how deeply committed the State Party of Vietnam is to the 1972 Convention and the World Heritage Convention. The recommendation of deferral was at one point in time. However, thereafter a lot of water has flown. Vietnam has had extensive discussion with IUCN, and there is a level of recognition and commitment and coordination between the two provinces of Vietnam, the Haiphong city and the Quang Ni province, Excellency. Having said that, Excellency, we wait and we welcome the inclusion of this property on the World Heritage List. I thank you, Excellency.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. It seems the vast majority are in favor and to this proposal. So if there are no more comments or interventions, I would like to invite you to examine and adopt the draft decision 45-COM 8B.3. But before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendment on the draft decision proposed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one amendment from the distinguished delegation of Thailand, which was co-authored by the distinguished delegations of India, Mali, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Zambia, Belgium, and Qatar. And from the floor, we have received endorsements from the distinguished delegations of Oman, Italy, Mexico, Argentina, Greece, Bulgaria, Russian Federation, South Africa, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Rwanda, Saudi Arabia, and Japan. The amendment as proposed to para 3.
Also Egypt.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, to intervene at this stage, but yes, now, because we had sent during lunchtime our support to the amendment, and I had confirmed it in my intervention. Thank you very much.
Indeed. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Sorry. So the revised para 3 approves the significant boundary modification of Ha Long Bay, Vietnam, to include the Cat Ba archipelago to become Ha Long Bay Cat Ba archipelago, Vietnam, on the basis of criteria 7, and 8. Revised para 4 takes note of the following provisional statement of outstanding universal value. We can go down to para 5. Revised para 5 recommends that the state party give consideration to the following. A. Revise the boundaries of Katba National Park to align with the boundaries of the Katba Archipelago extension to the Ha Long Bay World Heritage Property. B. Revise development projects of all kinds in conformity with paragraph 172 of the operational guidelines. Undertake heritage impact assessment for any relevant projects and in the buffer zone and adjacent to the buffer zone, and to continue to strengthen the legal protection status of the buffer zone. Point C, expand the existing ecological carrying capacity analysis conducted for Ha Long Bay to the entire property, ensuring effective tourism management that respects the outstanding universal value of the property. D, revise and complete the management plan to address key threats to the property and strengthen law enforcement accordingly, including threats from mass tourism, a major shipping lane, growth of settlements, poaching, exploitation of marine resources and forest products, overfishing, unsustainable aquaculture, pollution, in bracket oil, noise, sewage, litter, including from river catchment inputs, and significant developments in the buffer zone, and consider to study the development of a monitoring plan and management indicators in order to manage the property effectively and efficiently. E, this point is suggested by IUCN to become a separate para 6, so we can move it down. The revised para E, the revised E point under para 5 would be continue appropriate consultations with the local communities, particularly those who might be affected and be relocated from the core area, conduct support policy and programs to facilitate the integration of the relocated communities, including subsidy financial schemes and social services, and consider assessing the needs of relocated communities in order to ensure adequate support from the state party. The revised para 6 encourages the state party to also consider nominating the property under criteria 10. Para 7 requests the state party to submit to the World Heritage Center by 1 December 2024 a report on the implementation of the above-mentioned recommendations for review by the World Heritage Committee at its 47th session. End of amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mexico.
Gracias, señor presidente. No habíamos expresado nuestro apoyo anteriormente, pero lo hacemos ahora con mucho gusto y nos unimos a las enmiendas propuestas y celebramos el diálogo que han mantenido tanto Vietnam con UICN, así como el compromiso y los esfuerzos de Vietnam por llegar a estas enmiendas que nos parecen muy favorables. Gracias.
Thank you very much. So I'd like now to invite you to examine the draft decision paragraph by paragraph. Paragraph 1 and paragraph 2, there are no amendments. Do you agree to accept them as they are? India?
Excellency, if we are following a criteria of how the names of member states are being mentioned, Egypt had mentioned the support before the State Party of Mexico did. And the State Party of Mexico has supported at this point in time. That's why it becomes imperative that Mexico's name be placed after Japan, Excellency, if that is okay with the State Party of Mexico. Thank you.
Mexico?
There is no problem. No hay ningún problema, señor presidente. Lo importante es que el apoyo esté reflejado. Gracias.
Thank you very much. So paragraph 1 and 2, there are no amendments. Do we agree to accept them as they are? I see no objections. Adopted. Paragraph 3, we have a proposal. Do we agree with the proposed text? I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 4, we have proposed text. Do we agree to the proposed text? I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 5. We have a proposed text. Do we agree with the proposed amendment? I see none. So, adopted as amended. Paragraph 6. We have proposed text. Do we agree with the proposed paragraph? I see no objection. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 7, we have a proposed text. Do we agree with the proposed paragraph? I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Dear colleague, I invite you to adopt the draft decision as a whole, and if there are no objections, I declare the draft decision 45 8B3 adopted as amended. Let me congratulate Vietnam on behalf of the entire committee for the approval of the extension of this property. Vietnam, you have the floor for a brief 2-minute statement.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. At this moment, all our Vietnamese people, including Quang Linh Province and Hải Phòng City, are very happy that Hạ Long Bay and Cát Bà is included in the World Heritage List. For us, this is very important. For local government, Hải Phòng and Quảng Ninh are committed to effective preserving and protecting the property.
The inscriptions of Hạ Long Bay, Cát Bà archipelago to promote pride, raise communities, awareness of the important and good values of the heritage, and contribute to enhancing the responsibility to protect and promote the heritage. With the consent of the Prime Minister of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, on behalf of the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, the government and the community, we are committed to issuing a national program of action in accordance with the UNESCO Convention, taking necessary measures to protect the values of heritage. Finally, I would like to thank Mr. Chair, the committee members, Secretariat, and IUCN for very work hard and supporting for inscriptions of this property of Vietnam. May I wish all of you have a good health, happiness, and success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and congratulations again. Dear colleagues, I now invite IUCN to present the nomination of volcanoes and forests of Mount Pilé and the Pythons of Northern Martinique, France. IUCN, you may have the floor.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Prochain diapo, s'il vous plaît. L'évaluation de l'UICN se trouve sur les pages indiquées sur ce diapositive. Et la montagne Pelée est une icône volcanique remarquable pour son type éruptif notable lié au dôme de lave, à la viscosité élevée et aux explosions dirigées latéralement. Les forêts de la Martinique sont présentées comme les plus diverses et les moins fragmentées des petites Antilles et abritent plus que 1000 espèces de plantes vasculaires indigènes. L'inscription du bien est ainsi proposée au titre des critères 8 et 10. Le bien proposé compte presque 14 000 hectares et se compose du massif de Mont Conil, associé au système volcanique récent de la montagne Pelée, ainsi que des massifs de Mont Jacob et des pitons du Carbet. Une seule zone tampon de presque 30 000 hectares enveloppe les deux éléments composants. Next slide, please. Concernant le critère 10, le panel du patrimoine mondial de l'UICN a noté le nombre élevé d'espèces de plantes et d'animaux endémiques présentes dans le bien proposé. Certaines espèces sont strictement endémiques de la Martinique, y compris des espèces en danger critique d'extinction. Le bien proposé chevauche 3 aires protégées considérées parmi les plus irremplaçables du monde pour la conservation des mammifères, des oiseaux et des amphibiens. Outre l'endémisme et la biodiversité dans les petites Antilles, l'analyse comparative de l'état de partie fait remarquer que la Martinique possède la plus longue étendue continue de forêt de la mer au sommet volcanique, une caractéristique qui n'existe plus dans les autres îles des petites Antilles. Next slide, please. Cependant, en ce qui concerne le critère 8, l'analyse comparative ne compare pas clairement le site proposé avec les biens du patrimoine mondial de la zone de gestion des pitons en Sainte-Lucie, le parc national de Mont-Trois-Pitons en Dominique et sur demande du panel de l'UICN, l'état de partie a fourni une analyse comparative détaillée pour le critère 8. Mais toutefois, le panel a fait remarquer que cette analyse comparative n'identifie pas clairement les attributs constituant une éventuelle valeur universelle exceptionnelle selon le critère 8. Et par ailleurs, pour démontrer l'importance mondiale du bien, l'analyse devrait inclure une comparaison plus étendue des éruptions pliniennes et des volcans à dôme semblables. De plus, le Mont Pelée n'est que partiellement inclus dans le bien proposé et l'UICN estime, selon la représentation des attributs géologiques notés dans les informations complémentaires, que cette représentation n'est pas complète. Et à cet égard, l'UICN note que 13 des 20 géosites jugés importants dans l'information complémentaire se trouvent dans la zone tampon et ne sont donc pas inclus dans le bien proposé. Next slide, please. Par conséquent, en plus d'une révision de l'analyse comparative, la proposition nécessite également une révision des limites pour couvrir les valeurs géologiques d'une manière adéquate. Et de plus, l'UICN considère qu'il serait nécessaire de renforcer la capacité de gestion du bien proposé du point de vue de la protection et de la gestion des valeurs géologiques. Et en ce qui concerne les valeurs de biodiversité, l'information complémentaire indique des aires importantes que l'on trouve dans les zones qui ne font pas l'objet d'un régime de protection strict, comme, next slide please, comme le plus grand groupe des forêts hygrophiles, et ces forêts qui sont rares en Martinique et possèdent la biomasse et le nombre des espèces les plus élevés. Et le panel de l'UICN considère donc que le degré de protection juridique n'est pas actuellement adéquat pour le critère 10. Next slide, please. Monsieur le Président, next slide, please. Le projet de décision se trouve dans le document 8B, comme indiqué sur le diapositive, et contient la recommandation de l'UICN de différer la proposition d'inscription des volcans et forêts de montagne Pelée et des pitons du nord de la Martinique, tout en notant du potentiel important de ce bien proposé pour satisfaire les critères 8 et 10. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask if there are any comments regarding this nomination. Egypt.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je veux suivre le représentant de l'UICN en parlant en français. Tout d'abord, je voudrais le remercier pour sa présentation complète et détaillée de cette importante proposition d'inscription. L'État partie a eu la possibilité de soumettre des informations supplémentaires dans le délai imparti. En ce qui concerne les points soulevés par l'UICN dans son rapport, j'aimerais apporter quelques éclaircissements sur l'intégrité et la protection du site que je considère comme essentiels pour ce comité. En ce qui concerne l'intégrité du site, il faut considérer le contexte régional pour l'apprécier. Ce site présente, je cite l'UICN à ce sujet, 2 bandes impressionnantes de forêts contiguës s'étendant de la côte au sommet volcanique. L'analyse comparative démontre clairement que le bien proposé se distingue comme l'ensemble forestier le plus diversifié et le mieux conservé dans le contexte des petites Antilles. Ce fait est le résultat d'une combinaison de plusieurs facteurs. Premièrement, l'île est au centre de l'arc volcanique. Deuxièmement, c'est l'une des 3 îles les plus grandes et les plus hautes. Et troisièmement, le nord de la Martinique a été fortement dépeuplé depuis la tragédie de mai 1902, lorsque les éruptions de la montagne Pelée ont tué tous les habitants de sa capitale, 30 000 victimes, permettant la régénération naturelle de la forêt sur les cendres du volcan. Tous les types forestiers que l'on trouve dans les petites Antilles sont représentés dans le bien, qui comprend 90% des arbres endémiques des petites Antilles. Ceci confère une responsabilité importante dans la conservation de la biodiversité de ce archipel. En ce qui concerne le critère 8, comme le souligne l'UICN dans son rapport, bien qu'il existe des sites géologiques notables dans la zone tampon, leur valeur patrimoniale est principalement d'importance locale ou nationale. De faible surface et éloignés par rapport au périmètre bien, ces sites ne remplissent pas les conditions d'intégrité et ne contribuent pas de manière significative aux critères de bien proposés pour l'inscription. Par conséquent, nous ne sommes pas d'accord avec la recommandation de l'UICN de revoir le périmètre de cette proposition d'inscription, car nous considérons que tous les attributs se trouvent dans les limites du site pour exprimer les 2 critères de la vue. En ce qui concerne la protection du site, l'ensemble du bien est inclus au sein de l'aire protégée du parc naturel régional de la Martinique, comprenant 80% des forêts publiques. Ces forêts sont en grande partie protégées par des réserves biologiques intégrales, offrant le niveau de protection le plus élevé. Le bien dispose donc de mesures de protection efficaces, claires et rigoureuses dans le contexte d'un bien insulaire, englobant à la fois la biodiversité et les caractéristiques géologiques dans le système de gestion. Il existe un contrôle strict des activités dans le bien proposé qui, selon moi, est conforme aux exigences de cette convention et de notre comité. Aujourd'hui, le système de protection réglementaire garantit dans le site qu'il n'y a pas des habitants, qu'aucune construction n'est autorisée, qu'aucune exploitation des ressources forestières, pas de chasse et aucune exploration ou exploitation des ressources souterraines et d'agriculture. L'État partie s'est engagé dans le plan de gestion à poursuivre l'élargissement des zones protégées, garantissant le maintien de l'intégrité du bien. En gardant ces considérations à l'esprit et après avoir soigneusement étudié les recommandations de l'UICN, nous sommes convaincus que les préoccupations exprimées sur l'intégrité et la protection du site n'affectent pas la qualité générale de la proposition d'inscription. L'Égypte exprime donc son soutien à l'inscription de cette proposition d'inscription et nous avons soumis un amendement à cette fin. Avec votre permission, Monsieur le Président, j'espère que vous puissiez donner la parole à le pays membre pour répondre et donner des clarifications additionnelles. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Sultanate Oman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Oman wishes to acknowledge the efforts made by the state party and advisory bodies to address all requirements to recognize the potential of the OUV of the property. The proposed site is one of the most 100 unique areas in the world for the conservation of endangered species, and Montbellier has identified as a global reference for the modern volcanology iconic according to the 3 thematic IUCN studies from 1982, 2002, and 2019. The site nominated under the criteria 8 and 10 and the two component parts of the site consist of the two major geomorphological components of the volcanic origin in northern Martinique. In addition to its worldwide importance for the earth science within the Caribbean volcanic system and the island arc of the Lesser Antilles. However, the state party commitment to implement effective management plans, conservation activities, and awareness program is highly commendable, and indeed will ensure their contribution to the global efforts of protecting such natural treasures. Therefore, we support the amendments on draft decision and ask you, Mr. Chairperson, to give the floor to the State Party for further clarification for its effort to ensure the importance of this property and it is OUV. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mali?
Monsieur le Président, le site naturel des volcans et forêts de la montagne Pelée et des pitons du nord de la Martinique représente un trésor naturel d'une réelle beauté qui abrite une biodiversité exceptionnelle et constitue un écosystème fragile, méritant ainsi une protection et une reconnaissance internationale. Nous savons que les biens naturels de cette partie du monde qu'est la Martinique ont servi à développer une conscience écologique aiguë et à promouvoir une vision du monde basée sur la préservation de la diversité biologique et culturelle. Nous souhaitons que cette prise de conscience puisse se consolider. En tout état de cause, le Mali y contribuera en tant que pays riche d'une histoire et d'une culture qui consacre la préservation de la nature ainsi que l'attestent du reste les premiers articles de la charte du Mandé dès le XIIIe siècle. C'est dire que nous comprenons l'importance de la protection et de la valorisation des trésors de la nature et du patrimoine culturel pour les générations actuelles et futures. Nous soutenons donc l'amendement proposé par l'Égypte en faveur de l'inscription de ce bien, tout en encourageant l'État partie à mettre en œuvre un régime de protection davantage cohérent et efficace, d'une part, et d'autre part, à renforcer la capacité de gestion sur le site pour y assurer la protection et la gestion des valeurs géologiques. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much. Dawlat Qatar.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. La délégation de l'État du Qatar a pris connaissance du projet d'inscription des volcans et forêts de la montagne Pelée et des pitons du nord de la Martinique sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Nous observons dans le cas de la Martinique une convergence intéressante, de particularités remarquables, telles une localisation au sein d'un hotspot mondial de biodiversité dans une zone se représenter sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Nous soulignons également les valeurs intrinsèques de périmètre volcanique et forestier du nord de la Martinique, attestées depuis plus d'une quarantaine d'années par les nombreuses études de l'IUCN au titre de sa géodiversité et de sa biodiversité. Dans le cadre de ce projet, nous observons singulièrement que le cadre d'exigence défini par la protection de ce patrimoine exceptionnel s'inscrit dans une optique continuelle de progrès. Un témoin de la décision de la Martinique d'interdire dans le périmètre de biens d'exploitation forestière et la chasse. Au final, nous sommes convaincus que l'énergie mise en œuvre collectivement par la transmission de ce patrimoine aux générations futures incluse et dynamique, le développement durable pour le territoire et son environnement régional, dynamique particulièrement vitale dans ce contexte post-crise planétaire. La valeur universelle exceptionnelle des volcans et forêts du nord de la Martinique ne semble plus à démontrer et apparaît comme un puissant vecteur de valorisation et de préservation. Le Qatar considère que ce projet d'inscription s'inscrit dans le cadre des orientations devant guider la mise en œuvre du patrimoine mondial et dans l'objectif d'y intégrer une liste représentative, équilibrée et crédible. Nous soutenons l'amendement en faveur de l'inscription du site volcans et forêts de la montagne Pilé et des pitons du nord de la Martinique sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
شكرا جزيلا. الهند.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving me the floor on the agenda item 45.8b.4, volcanoes and forests of Mount Pelée and pitons of northern Martinique, France, which has got a deferral recommendation by the expert body. But now we have been presented with amendments for inscription. We respect the views of the advisory body. Hence, when the advisory body has given a deferral recommendation, then there are major considerations involved. If the amendment is from deferral to inscription, then serious discussion and clarifications are required. We also understand the need for more properties from small islands to be inscribed on the World Heritage List, and understand that the inscription of this nomination will aid the entire region of the Caribbean. Given India's commitment to the World Heritage Convention, we traveled to the nominated property at our own costs and have seen the property nominated firsthand. We met with the local community and the local government bodies of Martinique and heard of their commitment. This nomination was made under criteria 8 and 10 for natural sites. A deferring recommendation was given to allow the state party to prepare a revised nomination. It considers that the nominated property has potential to meet World Heritage criteria, but does not fulfill integrity requirements for one of the criteria at this stage, but has welcomed the management plan. The property has had an operational management plan for the last 3 years, approved by all local elected officials. This property has 1,058 species of native and globally threatened species. The combination of protections and the ownership regimes ensures strict regulations such as no inhabitants, no construction permitted, no exploitation of the forest resources, no hunting, no exploration or exploitation of underground resources, no agricultural exploitation. Protected areas will be strengthened through the acquisition of private lands to ensure complete land control in addition to existing protections. Additionally, the highest level of protection will be extended. Project for reinforced protection on an additional 2,000 hectares of forest and specific state measures to protect the main geosites. India supports France and therefore the amendments for inscription, but requests that the floor be given to the State Party of France to respond to the concerns raised by the advisory body. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Argentina.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Bueno, primero quiero agradecer a los órganos asesores por la presentación de sus informes relativos al sitio volcán y bosque de Montpellier y los pitones del norte de Martinique, así como a la Secretaría por el proyecto de decisión respectiva. La gran riqueza del patrimonio natural de la región del Caribe no está suficientemente representada en la lista del patrimonio mundial. Luego de haber estudiado esta nominación y en calidad de coautores del proyecto de enmienda, entendemos que el bien cumple con las prioridades de la Convención. En su primer estudio temático de 1982, la USNE reconoció ya al norte de Martinica como una ausencia en la lista de patrimonio mundial. Desde entonces, dicho órgano asesor ha publicado 4 estudios temáticos que demuestran un alto potencial del sitio para cumplir con el valor universal excepcional de los criterios 8 y 10. Las bases de esta nominación nos parecen sólidas, por lo cual apoyamos la inscripción del sitio. En este sentido, nos gustaría preguntar al Estado parte acerca de sus compromisos para garantizar su conservación y gestión. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much. Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I want to join others who have spoken before me to appreciate the advisory bodies for the report on this item. The Nigerian delegation wishes to express support for the inscription of the volcanoes and the forests of Mount Pelée and the pythons of northern Martinique as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Under Category 8 and 10, Nigeria and Martinique shared a common history marked by dynamic exchanges and exceptional cultural richness. This inscription is a unique opportunity to strengthen the bonds and celebrate our shared heritage. As a nation blessed with diverse natural landscape, Nigeria understands the importance of preserving our natural and cultural heritage. We take pride in our world cultural heritage sites, such as the Sukur cultural landscape, as well as other yet to be inscribed, like the Cross River National Park, which demonstrate our commitment to the biodiversity conservation and natural heritage preservation. We stand ready to share our expertise and experience to support Martinique's inscription. The recognition of this site as a UNESCO World Heritage will strengthen the protection, conservation of these exceptional landscapes. By supporting this inscription, we express our solidarity with Martinique and our shared commitment to preserving our natural and cultural heritage. This recognition also strengthens the bond between our two nations, encourage closer cooperation in the field of heritage preservation. Mr. Chair, let me conclude by expressing my deepest gratitude to Martinique for this commitment to preserving this extraordinary site. As the ambassador of Nigeria, I assured you of our full support, willingness to work together to safeguard our shared heritage, promote the cultural and natural diversity that enriches our world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Zambia.
Mr. Chairman, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, considering the underrepresentation of geological sites on the World Heritage listing from the thematic perspective, as the delegation of Zambia, we wish to extend our resolute endorsement of the nomination of the volcanoes and forests of Mount Pelée and the pythons of northern Martinique as a natural World Heritage Site with a strong basis in the operational guidelines of the World Heritage Convention and its relevant articles. This nomination aligns seamlessly with the fundamental principles outlined in the Convention's operational guidelines. Specifically, it adheres to the criteria set forth in Criterion 8 and Criterion 10, as stipulated in Article 2 of the Convention. Criterion 8 pertains to the outstanding examples of geological and geomorphological processes, while Criteria 10 relates to the significant ecological and biological processes. Mr. Chairman, coming from the background of conserving a geological site such as the Victoria Falls World Heritage Site, we seem to see some similarities from the geological perspective. And from this point of view, Mr. Chairman, we would like to join the rest of the delegates in supporting the nomination of this wonderful site to the World Heritage listing. I submit, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Japan.
Thank you, Chairperson. Although this nomination is not a nomination from small island developing country, but we consider this site could become a good practice model for the nomination and management of the site on small islands. In this context, we would like to ask State Party, because it looks like the State Party has different opinion from IUCN regarding the attributes of Criterion 8. So we would like to ask State Party their view on the attributes and the OUV, as well as the major obstacles to extend the boundary of the nomination, if there is any. Thank you.
Thank you very much. St. Vincent and Grenadines.
Mr. Chairman, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has examined the amendment, the dossier, and received presentations from the state party in respect of the volcanoes and forests of Mount Pelée and the pitons of northern Martinique. Martinique is an island in the Caribbean, and it's not existing in France, but it is a dependency of. The attributes of this site includes its uniqueness as an area of study of earth sciences. It possesses two of the most remarkable expressions of volcanic processes in the Lesser Antilles. Its volcanic structure based on lava dome with lateral eruptions, significant biodiversity value, and uniqueness of its endemic species. The longest stretch of diverse and least fragmented forests here exists, which does not exist on any of the other islands of the Lesser Antilles. Collectively, they give rise to its outstanding universal value. Indeed, the 1902 volcanic eruption in Martinique triggered the development of this area of earth science with the establishment of an observatory for monitoring volcanic activity in the Caribbean region. St. Vincent and the Grenadines believes that the World Heritage Inscription would offer a powerful and precious tool of conservation and recognition for Martinique and the Lesser Antilles, particularly St. Lucia, Dominica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, currently facing the pressures threatening these small territories, and where active and dormant volcanoes do exist. The landscapes and species therein are striking natural scenery in the Lesser Antilles. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, therefore, supports the inscription of this site, and we look forward to the report from the state parties, which will be presented by December 2025. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Belgium, you may have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Après examen du dossier et d'un entretien complémentaire entre nos experts belges et français ayant permis une clarification de l'article 7 des amendements tels que proposés par l'Égypte, la Belgique considère que les limites du bien proposé incluent les attributs soutenant la valeur universelle exceptionnelle. L'ensemble des géosites situés tant dans les limites du site proposé que dans la zone tampon bénéficient effectivement du plus haut niveau de protection nationale pour ce bien. Préserver la biodiversité dans la région Caraïbe, jusqu'ici sous-représentée dans la liste du patrimoine mondial, est un enjeu majeur, tandis que les forêts de Martinique sont capitales pour la conservation de la flore endémique des Petites Antilles. Nous prenons donc en considération l'engagement de l'État partie d'étendre les mesures de protection de la biodiversité. Pour l'ensemble de ces raisons, la Belgique soutient les amendements visant à l'inscription des volcans et forêts de la montagne Pelée et des pitons du nord de la Martinique sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Merci.
Thank you very much. Rwanda.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. La délégation du Rwanda remercie la délégation égyptienne pour la présentation faite sur la proposition d'inscription du bien naturel des volcans et forêts de la montagne Pelée et des pitons du nord de la Martinique sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Monsieur le Président, ce site représente un paysage naturel captivant qui a profondément influencé la vision artistique d'Aimé Césaire. Ce site incarne parfaitement les critères de la Convention, mettant en évidence sa valeur universelle, exceptionnelle et la nécessité de sa préservation pour les générations futures. En conclusion, Monsieur le Président, la délégation du Rwanda approuve la nomination du bien naturel présenté et soutient l'amendement en faveur de son inscription. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. I would like to pass the floor to Greece.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our delegation considers that the nominated property demonstrates global importance according to both biodiversity and geodiversity criteria, over the entire perimeter of the site. Regarding criterion 8 in particular, expressing the values of the geological heritage, we believe that the relevant attributes are integrated into the property, especially as far as characteristic volcanic morphologies are concerned, such as domes, blocks, products of eruption and collapses. Such morphologies are generally underrepresented in the World Heritage List, a fact which probably should be taken into consideration. Moreover, the comparative analysis presented in the official documentation of the file and the additional report is based on a corpus of volcanic sites with common characteristics, making it possible to demonstrate the unique values of this property. Taking into account the fact that there is a protection system in place to ensure the integrity of the property and the rigorous regulation of the activities throughout the site, as well as the conservation of the biological and geological heritage in the long term, we strongly support these amendments submitted by Egypt, and we would like to invite and hear from the State Party of France to address IUCN's concerns. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I would like to pass the floor to the State Party to respond to the committee's questions and advisory bodies. France, you may have the floor.
Monsieur le Président, je vous remercie de me passer la parole. Je voudrais apporter des précisions nécessaires par rapport à la liste de l'UICN et je remercie l'UICN pour sa contribution et surtout l'expertise présentée. Je vais m'attarder sur la question du critère 8. La montagne Pelée est le dernier des 4 volcans en référence mondiale, pas encore représenté sur la liste du patrimoine mondial avec Hawaï, les îles éoliennes et le Vésuve Pompéi, ayant légué leur nom aux grandes figures volcaniques mondiales. Je souhaite rappeler ici la constante de l'UICN qui a identifié pas moins de 4 études depuis plus de 40 ans la Martinique comme lacune de la liste, dès 1982 dans sa toute première étude mondiale en 2009, dans son étude sur les volcans du patrimoine mondial en 2013, dans son étude sur les sites les plus irremplaçables pour la biodiversité en 2019, sur les lacunes géologiques de la liste. Concernant les critères de l'analyse comparative, l'UICN recommande d'élargir l'analyse à des volcans pliniens. Cependant, la montagne Pelée est reconnue mondialement pour les éruptions de 1902, tant pour la portée historique, scientifique, esthétique et sociétale de cet édifice volcanique majeur. De ce fait, l'analyse s'est concentrée sur les principaux volcans péléens connus. Cette analyse nous paraît cohérente et démontre sans ambiguïté la valeur universelle exceptionnelle du bien. J'insiste sur la question de géosites. Des arrêtés seront pris pour renforcer, bien sûr, la protection. Et concernant la gouvernance, ce n'est pas atypique, c'est comme ça que ça se passe aussi en Calédonie par rapport au lagon. Nous considérons que former la résilience est fondamental et à ce titre-là, associer la population et avoir un partenariat suffisamment ouvert pour que la gouvernance soit efficace sur le terrain, à proximité de la population et des valeurs écologiques, me semble essentiel.
Thank you very much. Please. Ethiopia.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Et après avoir suivi le débat et la contribution de l'État partie, l'Éthiopie souhaite s'inscrire sur la liste des pays ayant soutenu l'amendement qui a été proposé par l'Égypte. Merci.
Thank you very much. Japan.
Thank you very much. In this particular case, the views of the state party concerned and the IUCN are quite different, and I wonder if the chair can give the floor to the IUCN. Thank you.
Indeed, Your Excellency. IUCN.
Thank you, Chair. I think the key point here is the question of our requirement in IUCN to respond to the operational guidelines, and you'll find in page 70 of IUCN's evaluation, we note the part of paragraph 93 that makes clear that in the case of volcanoes, the magmatic series should be complete and all or most of the varieties of effusive rocks and types of eruptions should be represented. And although I noted the comments of Belgium, I think we have the sense that, based on clear analysis, that the geosites that are in the buffer zone are important, but the OUV is defined by the inscribed property. We have no wish to stand in the way of consensus because there is clearly enormous biodiversity values and significant geodiversity values in Martinique. Perhaps the last comment I would just make is that we do have the process of submission of possible factual errors, which allows an exchange on these sort of matters before the committee debates them. We've seen that process used to good effect this afternoon with the inscriptions for Congo and for Vietnam, and I do think it would be helpful that states parties avail of that opportunity because it means we can avoid needing to pass these sorts of issues in real time in the committee meeting when we have a long time before the committee meets to try to reach a consensus. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Japan?
Well, thank you very much. It would have been better if sufficient dialogue has been conducted between the IUCN and the state party. But at the same time, we have to note that this is a rare example of a SIDS property. And also, we understand that there is nobody living, no hunting, no logging, and this is a perfect area for preservation. Now, I understand that there are some issues surrounding the criteria 8 and 10, and there seems to be some differences of views between the concerned parties. Now, in this particular case, we do not stand against consensus, but we don't necessarily support the conclusion. But we don't want to stand against the consensus. We do recognize that almost everybody in the committee is now in support of the inscription, so we do not go against the consensus. But nevertheless, I want to register some concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. So I see no more comments. Therefore, I would like to invite you, my dear colleagues, to adopt the draft decision 45Com 8B.4. But before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendment on the draft decision proposed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one amendment from the distinguished delegation of Egypt, which has been co-authored by the distinguished delegations of Argentina and Oman. And we have received support from the floor from the distinguished delegations of Mali, Qatar, India, Nigeria, Zambia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Belgium, Rwanda, Greece, Ethiopia, and Japan. The revised Para 2 inscribes the volcanoes and forests of Mount Pelée and the pitons of northern Martinique, France, on the World Heritage List on the basis of criteria 8 and 10. Revised Para 3 takes note of the following provisional statement of outstanding universal value. Moving to revised Para 4. Underlines the global importance of biodiversity conservation in the Caribbean region, a biodiversity hotspot, and the worldwide importance of the forests of Martinique for the conservation of the endemic flora of the Lesser Antilles. Para 5 also underlines the worldwide importance for earth sciences of Mount Pelée and the Carbet pitons within the Caribbean volcanic systems and the island arc of the Lesser Antilles. Para 6 notes that the property includes the fundamental elements of the outstanding universal value on the basis of the two criteria, in particular, the major geological attributes. Para 7 recommends the state party to ensure the conservation of the entire property and buffer zone by giving consideration to the following. A, complement the existing protection system with coherent and effective protection for geosites of scientific and educational interests located in the buffer zone and strengthen the management capacity for the geological attributes of the property to ensure the protection and management of geological values. B, extend biodiversity protection measures, possibly through an extension of the Reserve Biologique Intégrale inside the property. 8, para 8, encourages the state party to continue and strengthen cooperation with the other states parties of the Lesser Antilles for the conservation of species, environments, and geological values. Revised para 9, requests the state party to submit to the World Heritage Center by 1 December 2025 a report on the implementation of the above-mentioned recommendations for examination by the World Heritage Committee at its 48th session. End of amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. المملكة العربية السعودية.
Assalamu alaikum. We'd like to support this amendment. Thank you very much.
شكرا جزيلا. Thailand.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous voudrions nous joindre aux autres membres du comité en apportant notre soutien à l'amendement proposé par l'Égypte. Merci.
Thank you. Thailand. South Africa, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. South Africa also support the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Japan.
Thank you. From time to time, we have to be honest. France is our important ally, and this is a SIT project, and also nobody is living there, no logging, so it's a perfect natural environment. I would very much like to support this, but at the same time, we do recognize that IUCN has provided some issues, and it seems that there has been no convergence of views between IUCN and the state party concerned. So this is again a very occasion, but I would like to delete our name from the list of supporters. No, as I said, we don't stand against the consensus, but at the same time, I just wanted to register the issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Italy.
Italy would like to join the other countries in supporting the amendments.
Thank you very much. Bulgaria.
Monsieur le Président, excellents chers collègues, la Bulgarie soutient également les amendements proposés. Merci.
Thank you very much. So I see no more, and therefore I invite you, dear colleagues, to examine the draft decision, paragraph by paragraph. And for paragraph number 1, we don't have any amendment. Do we agree to accept it as it is? I see no objections. Adopted. Paragraph 2, we have a proposal. Do we agree with the proposed text? I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 3, we have a proposed text. Do we agree with this proposal? I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 4, we have a proposed text. Do we agree with this proposal? I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 5, we have a proposed text. Do we agree with the proposed paragraph? I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 6, we have a proposed text. Do we agree with the paragraph? I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 7, we have a proposed text. Do we agree with this amendment? I see no objection. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 8, we have a proposal. Do we agree with the proposed text? I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 9, we have a proposed text. Do we agree with this paragraph? I see no objections. Adopted as amended. Dear colleagues, I invite you to adopt the decision draft as a whole, and there are no objections. I therefore declare draft decision 45 8B.4 adopted as amended. Let me congratulate France on behalf of the entire committee for the inscription of this property. France, you have the floor for a brief 2-minute statement. You may have the floor.
Monsieur le Président du Comité, Monsieur la DG Culture, Monsieur le Directeur du Patrimoine mondial, Mesdames les expertes, Messieurs les experts, Excellences du Comité du Patrimoine, je salue l'organisation parfaite du Royaume d'Arabie Saoudite. Je salue la gestion éclairée du Président du Comité. Je remercie chaleureusement l'Égypte d'avoir proposé l'inscription du bien. Je remercie tous les pays co-auteurs. Un immense merci pour votre soutien. La montagne Pelée est un des plus beaux sites de France, mais comme il a été dit à plusieurs reprises, c'est tous les Caraïbes qui vont fêter cette inscription aujourd'hui. En tant qu'ambassadeur, je suis le garant de l'engagement fort des autorités françaises à gérer et protéger le bien conformément aux recommandations et en dialogue étroit avec l'UICN et le comité. Je passe la parole au président du Conseil exécutif de Martinique, le président Serge Letchimy.
Monsieur le Président, je voudrais remercier l'ensemble des pays ambassadeurs et plus particulièrement l'Égypte. C'est un moment historique pour la Martinique, mais au-delà pour la Caraïbe et pour le monde entier. L'inscription sur la liste du patrimoine mondial représente un outil puissant et précieux de conservation, mais c'est aussi l'expression d'une identité écologique qui résume parfaitement les propos d'Aimé Césaire, poète de la négritude, qui disait de la montagne Pelée « Lion décapité, harnaché de toutes nos blessures, griffonné de lave trop hâtive qui nous ouvre l'espace et le temps de s'installer à l'horizon. » C'est un message au monde. Merci à la France d'avoir su dépasser l'ensemble des éléments et apporter sa contribution pour reconnaître le particularisme exceptionnel que sont les pays d'outre-mer. Je vous remercie, Monsieur l'ambassadeur. Et merci à l'UNESCO qui, au-delà des frontières, au-delà des enjeux du monde, a cherché et cherche à fortifier la nécessaire résilience de l'humanité face aux défis écologiques. C'est l'exemple que vous venez de donner dans la zone Caraïbe qui vous est reconnaissante.
Thank you very much and congratulations again. So our session is coming to an end. I would like to pass the floor to the Director of the World Heritage Center for some general announcements.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just to inform you, distinguished members of the committee, that we will have, there is a side event which will start in a few minutes at the Hegre Room, which is the advisory body space organized by ICOMOS China on the Maritime Silk Road and the shared future of World Heritage. I'd also like to announce that at the exhibition of the Dive into Heritage, there is a cocktail which will also start at 6:30, which is in a few minutes. This cocktail is organized by UNESCO and the Ministry of Culture of Saudi Arabia on the Dive into Heritage Digital World Heritage Platform exhibition in the historic Jeddah Room. And we invite you all to come and discover a live demonstration of the prototype of the online platform and interact with the high-resolution 3D models processed and optimized by UNESCO. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Also, I would like to remind you that the Bureau meeting tomorrow is at 9:30. And also I would like to thank the interpreters for staying longer than their actual time. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much and wish you a wonderful evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to inform you that the scheduled night visits to Root Square, Via Riyadh, Al Masmak Palace, The Line Exhibition, Boulevard Riyadh City, Al Tarif Historical Neighborhood, King Abdulaziz Center for Arabian Horses are confirmed for today. Please proceed to the pickup and drop-off areas located at the Prince Sultan Hall. We would like to announce that the Night Visit Center is also open and is located outside the plenary exit on the right side. Thank you.